Hello, this is George.
This is John.
We are on the road, specifically on Highway 81 in Virginia, heading south towards Atlanta, Georgia, and ProgPowerXVII, was it? 17. So this is the beginning of, let's see, today's Tuesday, and we're going to get home next Monday. So this is going to be quite the road trip. And hopefully we'll have a whole lot of recordings for you to keep you busy until the next episode.
Well, it's funny because we're doing this long 4-day festival, and there's a third of the bands is Maryland Death Fest, I think.
Yeah, that's why I look at this as going, this should be a nice, pleasant experience because it's not outside in the blazing heat, and there's not nearly as many bands. And there's changeovers between each one. So I'm like, this will be a little more laid back, I think. But John, how many of these have you been to?
This will be number 16 out of 17. Although I had tickets for the one that I missed, I just couldn't go at the last second. So it would be 17 for 17 had I gone.
So it would be safe to say that you are an expert on ProgPower.
Perhaps, yes, I might be.
So for a newbie like me coming into this, what are some things I should know?
Well, like you said, it's indoors, which is nice because this is down in Atlanta in September, which I don't know how many people who listen have been to Atlanta in the summer or September. It will be very hot.
It's going to be in like the low to mid 90s, I believe.
It's going to be hot this year, yes. And it's going to be at least 50% humidity, so it's going to be a little when we're out there. And we have to walk about a half a mile between the hotel and the venue, so it's not too bad, but it's still going to be hot. So it'll be nice to be indoors. It'll be a nice, cool venue. Venue holds about 1,200 roughly, and it's shaped like a Greek theater if you're familiar with that, but indoors. 6 bands a day for the main festival, and the other 2 days it's 4 and 3. So yeah, bands play longer, hour to an hour and a half an hour changeover in between. So yes, maybe a little more laid back compared to a Maryland Death Fest, which is a constant, boom, boom, boom at each band. So we'll see. I'm more interested to hear what you have to say since you haven't been here yet, but that's just the gist of the normal setup for the shows.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious myself, having never been, and I'm not a big prog fan myself. I do like a fair amount of power metal, although since having known John, I do find myself leaning more towards some more prog bands. That could be partly just because I'm getting so burned out on some of the styles. Yeah, I every couple of years I kind of got to switch gears into a new style. It used to be death metal, and then I got tired of that, and I moved on to doom metal, and and then it was funeral doom, and I got kind of tired of that, so I was really into black metal, and black metal I'm kind of getting tired of, and so I'm a little more open to something that's maybe a little different, a little more melodic, but
I think the whole prog or progressive genre or classifications become so widespread now. Everyone's got some progressive in them now. Again, we'll go to Bandcamp as our example. If you ever look at the tags, it's like death metal, black metal, progressive metal, all lumped into one, and you're like, okay.
Or progressive death metal, progressive black metal.
Yes.
Like that just means you know how to play.
Yes.
That doesn't. You don't necessarily get the progressive tag just because you know how to play.
And I think what that means now is, I think progressive just now is a genre way of saying that bands are not going to just stick to the specific, like they're not going to be just black metal all the time or death metal all the time. They're going to venture a little bit within that confines. I kind of like that. Some people don't. I do. So
I do too. I really prefer like a progressive black metal to an old school black metal. I mean, give me old school Dark Throne, I dig that. But, that's been done 14, 15 times already. So I prefer new metal to have a little more, a different interpretation upon the genre.
Although I will have to say, though, I did enjoy that old school, is it Blood Incantation? Is that the...
yes.
I'll go for that straight ahead old school death metal once in a while. So I did enjoy that new album.
Yeah, me too. And I like that, and I think this is possibly in response to some of my complaints that, not my complaints, but the things that I see that I haven't really liked about death metal lately. I think maybe other people are sort of feeling that way as well. And death metal's just kind of become very generic in many ways. And just like the new stuff is just like wall of sound, a bunch of growling. That's not good death metal. If you go back to the 90s and listen to the death metal bands then, there was a lot more thrash influence and there was like some melody in there, and it didn't all sound the same. And so between Blood Incantation and I can't think of it. There's another one that I really like, but I think some bands are starting to get a clue of doing death metal that's slightly different. Even if it is a retro death metal, at least it's a good style as opposed to kind of what's been going on lately. And we're looking at some traffic here.
Yeah, I think we might have an accident coming up. Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah, this is not the right time of day to have traffic on this road.
Nope.
We took 81 because we didn't want to go on 95, which is traffic all day, all night. Can you tell how far away the accident is?
We'll be in this for a little bit.
All right. Well, at least we have something to do.
It would not be a drive in Virginia without getting stuck in traffic somewhere.
Yeah. If this is the worst of it, then we'll be lucky.
Unfortunately, Virginia is a big state, and it's a crossroads state, meaning like when you drive through Delaware, you only hit a touch of Delaware. Even though it's a small state, you just go through a small portion of it. New Jersey is another state too. You have to go through the whole state, so there's a lot of traffic. You can't avoid it in Virginia. The two main roads are always full of traffic from all over the eastern seaboard, so can't escape it.
Yeah. All right.
But you asked me, we got off track a little bit. You were asking me about, what to expect at ProgPower. It's a long day with fewer bands, I guess is the best way to describe it. Like I said, at Deathfest, it starts at a certain point early, 12, 1, 2.
Yeah, depending on the day.
And then it ends like 11. Well, ProgPower could start at that time too, but then it could finish at like 1 in the morning. It just depends how long the headliner wants to play for. Sometimes, they get the freedom to play longer. I don't think there's any curfew for ending.
Yeah, I noticed most of them, at least like Friday and Saturday anyway, it said like 10 o'clock till whenever.
Yeah. And there's been some shows that have gone on really late. Like I think one of my buddies that's meeting us here, TR, he probably remembers better than I do. I think when Symphony X played the last time, they played a long time, even though they played like 10 songs. 2 of them combined were like 45 minutes, but I think they played pretty late. So it happens. I mean, I think the Arians played late once before. It just depends. It's kind of cool.
I could see Devin Townsend just being like, hey, let's just keep this party going and just do whatever,
Yeah, and the only bummer for that is usually when it's the final headline, and if it's not a band I'm into, I'm like, sweet, I'm going back to the hotel and crashing early. I got an early flight, but it's Devin Townsend for the final, so I will stay every single second that he's playing. So
cool. I, as I was saying, I haven't always been a big prog fan and even a power metal fan. I'm not huge, but in preparation for this week, pretty much for the last 6 months, I've been like investigating all the bands that are going to be there, and I was kind of surprised. Yeah, initially, I have to admit, the main reason I was coming was because I wanted to see Fate's Warning with John Arch singing. I mean, that's like bucket list right there, and everything else is just icing. And then I heard that Blind Guardian's going to be doing all of Imaginations from the Other Side. I'm like, hey, bonus. And Devin Townsend, great. I've seen him once before, but he'll be headlining here, so this is probably going to be a little better. And aside from that, I don't really care. But then I started listening to bands, and I was like, like this day, I like pretty much all these bands. I think the first day is kind of light for me. Streams of Passion, I'm like, I'm not a big fan, but I kind of like to see them. I forget who else is that day.
Spock's Beard's playing, and Spock's Beard's probably the proggiest of all the bands because they're just a prog rock band. But for whatever reasons, they've been on Metal Blade or were on Metal Blade for a long time, and I think they get a little heavier. I was a fan for the early years, and then they kind of pulled a Genesis where the lead singer left, and then the drummer became their singer, and they got a little more poppy, so I wasn't so big on that. But they've got now another new singer, who's the singer from Enchant, Ted Leonard, and they've gone back to their roots a little more, so I'm interested in seeing them. Dragon Force on day one?
Yeah, I was like, hey, maybe that'll be a good time to head out early that night. Maybe check a couple songs just to say we did, and then mosey on out.
Well, I want to check out a couple songs so I can't see his fingers moving, because they'll be moving so fast they'll be still.
Yeah.
You know, both of them. Herman Lee, and I can't remember, or whatever his name is, and I can't remember the other guy. I'm the same way. I mean, I'll check out Lord. They're the opening band, so I want to definitely see what they're like, and from there, you know.
Did you ever listen to Dungeon?
Don't think so, no.
Okay, yeah, they were like a power metal band from Australia.
No.
And Buke and I were fans of them, and then they broke up, and that was the last I heard. I had no idea that the dude from Dungeon started this other band called Lord, and so when they were announcing bands earlier this year, they were like, Lord, and everybody was like, oh yeah, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys? I've never heard of these guys. And it actually wasn't until like, I don't know, a month or two ago that I realized, oh, this is the Dungeon dude. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm definitely interested in that. I listened to, I think they have 2 albums out. I listened to a little bit off of each, and it's all right. You know, maybe live they'll be a little more impressive.
Yeah, I got the same feeling when I listened to it. You know, give them the benefit of the doubt and see them first, you know, before I decide. Because I don't know if they're really power or if they're prog. Maybe they have a little bit of both in them.
Yeah.
You know, but they didn't really stand out on either side, I didn't think, so.
And then there's I don't remember who's playing what day at this point because I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Well, day 2 is the promoters pick day. You know, so there's 3 promoters that used to do. There used to be the Wednesday, the midweek kind of mayhem thing they did. Then there was the Thursday kickoff show. Then Friday and Saturday were the main fest. But each one of those had their own promoter, with the guy Glenn being the main one behind everything. So they combined Thursday night now into all 3 guys are picking. So I think it's Ghost Ship Octavius, because Octavius, excuse me, because Glory Hammer. I always want to say Glory Hole. Sorry.
That's because you're such a big Steel Panther fan.
Yeah, oh yeah. Or maybe I'm just hanging out with Will down in Southeast. Yeah, so they couldn't get their visa straight, so we got Van Williams, his band, coming. So that should be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think Ghost Ship Octavius is a lot better than Glory Hammer, so I'm not displeased by that.
No, to me it made the night more interesting, because while I like the next band is Circus Maximus, and while I like their first 2 albums, I do not like their last 2. And I know they're a little bit of a bone of contention amongst fans at the festival. A lot of people love them, and a lot of people are like me. So, and then obviously Blind Guardian. So, yeah. Thursday became a much better night for me with Ghost Ship being added to it. So,
right on. There's another band, Freedom Call, that you said you weren't all that familiar with. I've listened to them on and off for a long time, and to me they're like just sort of straight up power metal, the way power metal probably ought to be. I think of them as cut from the same mold as Gamma Ray / first 2 Halloween albums,
right?
You know, Kai Hansen,
right? And I've seen both those bands at ProgPower, and they were both. Well, again, I'm not a big power metal fan. I enjoyed the shows; they were fun. They're great to see. So I'll probably at least check out a little bit of Freedom Call. We'll see.
Yeah. And gosh, who else do we have on there? There's that band Haken.
Yeah, they're going to be like the prog metalish band. They're very popular with a lot of fans there, and I've seen them a couple times. They're okay. Maybe it's the guy's vocals that get me. It's a little high. It shouldn't dissuade me, because half the bands I listen to either can't understand what people are saying when they sing, or their voices are too high. But they'll be entertaining. They're very talented, so you'll get your money's worth out of seeing them.
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of one of their albums, and yeah, it didn't really grab me. I mean, the music was fine. It's just the vocals, I think, kind of turned me off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even know what day they're playing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't either.
I should know, and I don't. So, which is typical, because I only know the bands I'm really looking forward to singing, and I start to piece it together once I'm there to see if I need to be somewhere. Oh, hold on. I'll try to pull up the schedule right now.
All right.
Which I should be driving in.
Yeah, we're still sitting in traffic.
Oh, this blows. Although I see flashing lights, that means we're getting close.
There's a sign saying we got to get over.
Fuckers. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, dear.
All right, we'll get this figured out. This guy's going to be nice and let me over. Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is definitely not driving in Northern Virginia, Maryland, D.C. right now, is it?
No, not at all. Getting down here, you're supposed to get away from that crap.
Yeah, I know. All right, so day 3, I'll let you take a look at it there while I'm driving.
Well, there's a band called Ascendia, and right after them is Vanishing Point. And I listened to both of these, and they were not bad. They were, I liked them because, they were kind of heavy.
Okay.
A little more power metal, I guess.
I think so.
And Gentle Storm, of course.
Definitely want to see them. And I don't even know if I'm that big on the album, but it's Annika van Giersbergen, formerly of The Gathering. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to watch that regardless, just to see her sing. So
yeah, I'm with you there. Scar Symmetry, which I'm guessing is probably going to be about the heaviest band there.
Probably, yeah, I would think so.
Probably one of the only ones that's going to have harsh vocals anyway.
Well, it's funny because that's been incorporated more and more each year. I think Glenn's added a band or two here and there. I was going back and thinking all the bands I saw that I liked, and they were all the bands with the harsh vocals. But like Primordial played there a few years ago, and Eson's played there. Devin Townsend has harsh vocals at times, or his industrial harsh vocals or whatever. Right. So I guess it just depends. But you're seeing more and more of that. Amorphous has played there,
Okay.
So. But yes, I think you're right. Scar Symmetry would probably be the heaviest band.
Yeah, another band from day 2 is Pyramaze, which that'll be kind of interesting because they're going to have 3 or 4 different singers.
Yeah, I want to see them just for that alone. I mean, 2 of the singers alone would be worth the admission. With Matt Barlow singing, and then Lance King's going to sing too, who will also be then there. He has his, he has merch there also too. So it'd be kind of cool to see him out there on stage for once. It's been a while since he's been on stage, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I definitely want to see those guys sing, and it'll be cool because both Matt Barlow and Van Williams will be there, and the dude that sings for Ghost Ship Octavius also sings for Ashes of Ares, so maybe we'll get some little impromptu Ashes of Ares song. Who knows?
It's crazy. Yeah. And how is he 18 yet now, that kid?
the Ghost Ship kid? Yeah, he's young looking, man. I think he's Italian.
Yeah.
Because Buke and I saw him at the Ashes of Ares show that we went to in Baltimore last fall. It was almost a year ago, I think.
I forgot about that.
And he came out and did a song or two with them, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Who else we got?
And then obviously Fate's Warning.
Yes, Fate's Warning. The whole reason for me again. I just hit something on your screen and I can't see it now. It darkened.
No.
That's better. Maybe I just had the sunglasses on. All right. Do you have anything you want to talk about Fate's Warning?
What more can I say about him? Everybody knows I like him, so I've seen 3/5 of this band when I saw the Arch Matheos tour, so now I'm be glad to see the rest of the classic lineup together, which they've had how many classic lineups, so they're kind of the Deep Purple of a smaller version of Deep Purple when it comes to lineups, I guess, over the years.
Yeah, the first 3 Fate's Warning albums are classics for me. I mean, if I was going to reach out and grab an album from the 80s to say, hey, this is what mid-80s heavy metal was supposed to sound like, that would definitely be one of the first few that I grab, because Awaken the Garden in particular is it's just it's a landmark album for me. There's just no I don't even know what to say. It's just awesome. And
well, you've always said that it was never considered a progressive metal album, which now it's considered one of the founding progressive metal albums. And maybe that's what makes it so great, is that it just was what it was at that time, and it's ended up morphing into something else based on how people view it over the years. So I'm looking forward to it big time.
Yeah, I expect there will be tears streaming down my eyes when they play the song Guardian. That song, I've mentioned it before. I got a lot of stuff tied up in that song. So,
no, it'll be cool.
And let's see, day 4 opening is going to be Savage Messiah. I know them somewhat. They're kind of heavy too. I don't think they have harsh vocals, but they're pretty heavy.
Now, is Savage Messiah the band that Blind Guardian's drummer, when he had that issue where he couldn't play anymore for them? Was that the band he drummed, or was it another band with a similar name? I
could not tell you. Okay. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's Savage Circus or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Next band is probably the one I hate the most on this whole bill, and that would be Sirius Black. First of all, it's stealing from Harry Potter. Second of all, the fucking singer is just horrible, I think. I don't know.
So what I'm hearing here is that, and now what are the times for that? What does that go through? Till what time?
3:30 to 4:30.
So I'm thinking, and those are the first 2 bands.
Yeah.
There could be some beer drinking going on during that time somewhere.
I want to see Savage Messiah.
Okay, we can check them out, and then, there's a half an hour break in between each band, and the band plays for an hour. It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
There'll be some beer drinking in there.
Definitely. Then we'll be all like mellow for Green Carnation.
Oh, man, I can't wait for that. That's going to be... Yeah, they're playing one song. Boy, those guys suck. Well, it's only an hour and, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So that should be fun to see.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever, outside of an Yngwie Malmsteen guitar solo, I don't think I've ever seen anybody play that one song for that long. I literally saw Yngwie Malmsteen do a solo for 45 minutes. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anymore. For fear that there are some of my, I don't know how many of my friends actually listen, but I know that I have people I know that are disciples and people that would burn their albums, burn his albums in seconds. So.
And that's all you're going to say about that?
Yeah, I'm not saying any more about that.
And let's see, after that, Refuge. Now, that's the dude from Rage, right?
Yes, and they're going to be playing Rage music, but I guess slightly newly interpreted, I guess, or whatever, or influence. I don't know how it's going to play out, so we'll see how I feel at that point. Because then I gotta hunker down and get ready for Devin Townsend.
Well, actually, Hawken plays between Refuge and Devin, so there's an hour and a half of that if we want to skip that at all.
Yeah, and it depends, if we want to get seats, because while there's no assigned seating, it's one of those things when you go to a show and you have to stand up and you're in the back and you're like, well, I'm not going to push my way to the front because I'm going to wait for this band to finish, and then everyone's going to go to merch, bathroom, or smoke breaks or get beers, and that's when I'll move up to my spot. That's kind of what it is in between these sets. But for Devin Townsend and Blind Guardian and Fate's Warning, my guess is people are going to be squatting as much as they can to keep their seats because they're going to want to keep those seats for those shows. So we'll see how it goes. If it's really packed and no one's moving, I might sit through their set. If not, then I'll watch a little bit and bounce around. I mean, whatever.
It's not that big a room from what I can see. I mean, it only holds 2,500 or something like that?
It's only 1,200, actually.
1,200, okay.
It's bigger than it looks, but it's not big, yes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the pictures I was looking at, I was thinking, gosh, I mean, it's all if you were in a bigger arena or something, it would all be lower level. It just doesn't seem like there's much in the way of bad seating.
No. Side seats are not great because you'll lose part of the stage, but you can sit in the sections that are up against the stage, the side sections, and be at the end of that section and have a nice angle in and still be pretty good. So yeah, there's really not a bad seat in the place.
Excellent. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to this, and we will, of course, be recording at the very least before and after shows, probably. We might do some during. I wrote to the management and asked if we could bring in Cougar Bush so that we could record between sets, and they said they were fine with that. So as long as we can bring it in, we'll give you some commentary between sets. So it's not just John and I. There's a couple other people that are going to be with us. You want to talk a little bit about them, or do you just want to wait until they show up?
I can mention their names and then we can talk to them later. It's got 2 buddies, one from Maryland, one from your old hood in Michigan. My two friends, TR and Romy, are coming down, old friends. They're from the Porcupine Tree world, where I first met them, and done many shows with those guys all around the Eastern Seaboard. And TR is the friend that I went with to London to go see Opeth for the 25th anniversary show. I've gone to Toronto with my friend Romy for the Maiden 666 tour, which is what they played only 3 dates in North America on that tour before they came back again. But so I've done a lot of traveling with these guys all around for different shows. They're seasoned traveling buddies. So
excellent. I look forward to meeting them. So, you know, whenever we talk about prog and power metal on the podcast, Puke always ends up throwing in something about how the people that listen to this music are categorized as nerds and things like that. I'm perfectly honest, I've never thought about that myself, but since we're headed down there, are the crowds any different? Is it a little nerdier, or is it just a bunch of metal fans still?
There's still a bunch of metal fans, but I think you're going to see with the prog element, and I count myself in on this, maybe a little bit older crowd.
Oh, that's fine.
So I will not interject any of the personal attributes of that older crowd. No, believe it or not, and I'm having all fun in this because
sarcasm tags.
Yeah, sarcasm. Only because I've been a prog fan since I've been like 12. It's a mixed crowd now, and now that you've got multiple days, as before when it used to be just 2 days, I think you get a lot of different people. I think so many bands cross over now because of social media and internet and access, that the days of the early festivals where you had defining power and prog fans, I think you see a mix of a lot of different fans now. And the fact that the promoter has tried to bring in something a little different too, to make it just a little different, because you can't do the same thing every year. And I think that's what Maryland Death Fest does too. They try to throw a couple oddball bands in there also, just to mix it up, which you should. I think you have to do that. So, but yeah, the more refined crowd, maybe, because we're older and slower and can't move as fast as we used to.
So we're not the Coors Light crowd, we're more of a craft beer crowd.
Oh yeah. There'll be some shapely craft beer drinkers there.
So do you think we'll be drinking as much beer as we do at Maryland Death Fest?
Well, no, because we won't have the parking lot.
Fair enough.
When we go out, we'll drink beers, and there's plenty of good places to drink around the area. I'd like to go to some breweries, but the state of Georgia has some strict brewery laws on the books that make it tough for breweries to stay open, which is a shame, because there are some very good breweries. And God, bird just shit on my windshield. Sorry.
We're driving in John's new vehicle, which he had some 500 and some odd miles when we started the trip, so he's going to get a little touchy when the birds and the bugs run into it.
This is what not to do when your boat shits on you.
The rhyme of the ancient mariner.
Bad accent time. So, you know, and it's funny, you're going to see you'll see a lot more girlfriends and wives here now, because they go with their significant others. Whereas it's not going to be like when you used to go see Rush back in the 80s and 90s, it was a freaking sausage fest. Now when you go, as they got older and everyone's older and they got wives and kids, you're seeing more women at the show. So I think that's probably changed a lot too. Although there are a lot of women at ProgPower, which is cool. I like the diversity. It breaks it up more, I think. A lot of fans from a lot of different places. People travel all around the world for this festival, so it's kind of cool.
Now, this is all seated. There's no room for a pit anywhere, right?
Oh, no, there is. So it's like a regular Greek theater. So you have the half moon shape for seating, and then on the floor you'll have the board, and in that half moon of no seats on the floor, up to the stage is all standing. So if you choose to stand down there, you can. So I don't stand anymore now, because it's just too much. My legs, I burn out fast. I'm old, like I've said.
My bones are old, and
yes. My back hurts.
It seems unlikely still that we would see any pit action at something called ProgPower.
Maybe not so true. Maybe not as much as you would see at Maryland Death Fest. I will say this. The first time Therian played there, this is going back when they had the dual albums. Do you remember, what was it? 2004, the Sirius B.
Sirius and like Lemuria.
Yeah. When those two came out, I think they came then. and they played their full set. They were the fourth band that night, so they were not the headliner. They played their full set. They had like 3 minutes left, and they pulled the lights up. And is it Christopher, whatever the main guy, he goes, "Fuck this! We got 3 minutes." And they ripped into, I believe it was Black Mass by Merciful Fate. Is that the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, they ripped into that for the next 3 minutes, and the whole floor completely broke out into a pit. Nice. Which I'm like, what are you talking about? These people just stand there and go, woo! I mean, the whole floor is a pit. And so it happens sometimes. You might see some for Devin Townsend. It depends if he plays some strapping young lad in the set like he's been doing. Maybe. We'll see.
All right. What was I going to say? Oh, I know what it was. Since we're talking about prog, we already talked about this earlier before I had the bright idea of turning on the microphone. Opeth just released the second song from Sorceress, Can of Worms Open. And you've been having some conversations, not angry conversations at all with people about the new song. Let me just throw in my 2 cents first. When I first heard it, because was it Jay that sent us the link? I think it was Jay.
Yes.
I was like, wow, it's like Jethro Tull with David Gilmour on lead guitar, which, you know, from a certain perspective could be like a cut down. But personally, I like Jethro Tull and David Gilmour and Pink Floyd. And frankly, to me, I thought this was probably the best Opeth song I've heard in several albums. So wow. I was down with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not remotely heavy. It's completely clean guitars, clean vocals. And, you know, the way he sings sounds very Tull. To be honest, though, I mean, it sounds like Ackerfeld as well. So maybe he's always kind of had a little bit of Tull in his clean vocals, and I just never noticed. But I don't know. What do you think?
So yeah, you were asking me if I had listened to it yet, and I had to reply and say not yet because I'm on a Hannibal binge on Amazon Prime. So I stopped, and when I was watching, because it was just me watching at that point, and I listened to the song, and yes, it's in the vein of the last 2 albums, but even more so, I think it's even more proggy than the last 2 albums. But what I noticed in the guitar solo, I think I said to you, ooh, there's a little bit of Still Life type playing in there. It had that little bit of twang from Still Life in the guitar solo. So I thought that was cool. I may have had a little bit of a rant last night online, which anyone who follows me knows I don't do that. I avoid all that as much as possible. I have once in a while made a snarky comment, but I went on a little rant about people being down on the song, and I love reading it because I think it's silly. Everybody knows they're going to be doing this. I mean, I'm having a hard time believing everyone's butt hurt over the sound. If you don't like the direction, I get that. That's cool. You don't like it. But to get butt hurt about it at this point seems kind of silly when you haven't heard the whole album yet. Especially seeing as the first song, Sorceress, was pretty heavy for all clean vocals, you know. So, and I think I may have made a comment about we don't even know where this place is on the album. There could be 2 heavy songs in front of it and behind it, you know, just like other songs on other albums like Harvest or Benighted. But I may have taken some shots at some of these people, telling them to get a job and move out of their parents' basement and wash their clothes and stuff. And it spurred on some conversation with some of my friends going back and forth. So
that's what all trolls need to do, honestly.
Well, let's be honest. I'm sick and tired of the political commentary, no matter what your beliefs are. I just don't want to hear it anymore or see it anymore. I'm tired of people posting, you know, their funny little pet tricks. Don't get me wrong, I like dogs and cats. I don't need to see it every time. I don't need to see anyone's meme about how they're getting their life together. Nothing personal. I just don't want to see it. And I don't need to see another recipe. So I just tried to spur some musical conversation. That's all.
Makes sense to me. All right, well, hey, we're out of the traffic, I just noticed.
Yeah, we have been for about 20 miles now.
All right, well, that's typical George, not paying attention to where he is. Anything more you want to talk about right now?
No, we'll save it for later.
All right. We will talk to you later, maybe tonight. If not, definitely tomorrow before the first show. See ya.
Later.
Here we are. We are in Atlanta, Georgia. My name is George.
Hi, I'm John.
I'm TR.
TR's the new guy in the house, and we've We are here in Atlanta. We are at the Atlanta Marriott Midtown Suites. Ooh, there's a bit of an echo on that one.
It's been sweet.
And we are preparing for day one of ProgPowerXVII. We just spent a little time at Tap, a gastropub. There's a colon in there. You can't hear it, but there's a colon in there.
Yes.
Tap, colon, a gastropub. You saw the colon?
I saw the colon.
I didn't realize the bathroom was that small.
It was small. It is what it is.
All right, I'm forgetting to move the microphone around here. We are a few. We are a few beers deep at like 2:30 in the afternoon.
That's because it's Prog Power, and this is what we do.
It's what you do. So, TR, introduce yourself.
I'm TR.
That is a very John-like answer. Excellent.
Well, he's a good friend of mine, so I think that it would follow. But
How many Prog Powers have you been to?
I've been to 2 actually.
So that's 2 more than me. All right.
Two already, or 2 total? I mean, I thought you'd been more than that.
Is this 2 or 3?
Oh, this will be the 3rd.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I've been to 2 previous to this. Yes.
And this is my first, so I am the bitch of the group.
Not at all. You're here. It's all that matters.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And you probably know more about these bands than I do.
Well, I'm not as prog power oriented as John. I certainly like a plethora of styles, and I think I'm going to learn a lot on this trip. Actually, even though I've heard all of the bands that are playing. So
right. Yeah, Prog Power's, like we talked about on the drive down, it's a little different. It's a little more laid back for the setting, unlike Maryland Death Fest, where I was the newbie last May. Yeah, it's already. Was
it that long ago?
Yeah, this here is a little different because we don't have the parking lot, which I miss from Death Fest. That's a lot of fun to hang out. So we kind of have to venture out to places to get our beers, but we did quite fine on that today already. So.
Yeah, what have we had? We've had, shit.
We've had some good local beers. We had some Creature Comforts.
Oh yeah, the Creature Comforts.
I call it Tropicana TR. Please tell me what it is.
Tropicalia.
Thank you.
That sounds like genitalia from the tropics.
and that's why I say Tropicana. We had some Burnt Hickory.
I also had the Creature Comforts Athena sour-ish.
We had some Wild Heaven, which is all local, and then TR had some non-locals. Stone. Right. Stout.
And, Americano Stout, which was very good. And what are we drinking right now, Mr. John?
Look at this guy with the transitions.
Yeah.
Now we are drinking.
Natural.
Yeah. Now we are drinking Wicked Weed. I repeat, Wicked Weed. Dark Age. It's a bourbon barrel aged stout, and it is outstanding. Wicked Weed is from North Carolina.
And in fact, after you heard from us last, we stopped last night in Mooresville, North Carolina, and we went to Ultimate Ales.
Yes, excellent place.
And we picked up some Wicked Weed there as well.
Yes, we did.
Pernicious, is that right?
That's close, yes.
Well, that's what it was. Pernicious IPA, right?
Pernicious IPA, yes.
Okay, so we had a couple of those. We've also got a sour that I wanted to try that we have not popped yet. It's called Oblivion. It's also from Wicked Weed.
We're going to pop George's sour later, so.
I cannot wait.
You got to get a clink on here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we all, you hear those when you listen to the episodes? You're like, oh, I love the clink.
It's like, I wish I was there, and now I am.
Yeah, it's you're living the moment.
God, this is a really good beer.
This is very good, and you can taste the bourbon.
Yeah, you can.
And
TR is more the stout guy here, I think, of the group. I'm probably the more all-around guy, and George is probably more the IPA guy, don't you guys think? Roughly?
I think so. So that means the role of Puke is being played by TR.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Because he's our stout guy.
Yeah, stouts and porters and pretty much all the dark beers.
Yeah, that would be Buke's role.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. All right, well, so here we are in our room enjoying another very tasty beverage, as a matter of fact. Getting ready to leave in a little bit to head down to day one, which is opened by Lord, followed by Streams of Passion, not Peems of Stashin, as I was trying to say earlier.
Don't cross the streams.
Don't cross the streams! And then Spock's Beard, and then Dragon Force.
Right. I don't know how long I'm going to last for Dragon Force. I'll watch some, and then from there, I might be more beer.
More beer.
George, can I just say one thing? I'm very excited to see the Cougar Bush. Yes. Pretty much.
I'm rubbing it against my face. It's the Cougar Bush.
It's kind of famous.
He's like, that's gross. You're sticking it in my face now.
No, I'm all about it. But the thing is like it's. I've seen it. It's like it's mythic to me, and to be like in its presence right now for me is kind of moving. And so
don't cry tears on the Cougar Bush. We don't have to have it washed.
That, but I'm restraining myself right now because it's you want
to grab the Cougar Bush.
I do want to grab it, but at the same
time, even though I just rubbed it on my face.
Well, I'll rub the part that didn't get on your face.
Yeah, around the side.
Yes. Actually,
it's very soft.
It is soft, but there's a little bit of roughness to it. So, for all of you that have looked at the Cougar Bush and have wondered, it is as magnificent as it would seem in real life.
It is a grand piece of hair.
I would agree.
All right. So, is there anybody today that you're particularly looking forward to?
For me, I guess.
That sounds like a no.
Well, essentially, all right, well played. I guess I am kind of interested in Lord because I've just heard some clips and the singer sounds really good, the band sounds good. I was not familiar with them at all prior to this, so.
Have you ever heard of the band Dungeon?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, Dungeon was the band before Lord.
Oh, okay.
And also an Australian band.
Okay, so yeah, first of all, for all of you out there in the podcast land, I am, I'm kind of a poser in this world because I'm mostly I do like metal, but I don't know nearly as much as these guys. So for me,
who could possibly know as much as us?
Exactly. So I'm just, clinging, very, very easily here, very vaguely to whatever's going on here. But basically, I do like these bands, kind of just what I've heard of them, but mostly I'm here for Fate's Warning. That I just cannot wait to see that part of this show.
This all leads up to Friday.
Yeah, and we'll get there. But for tonight, yeah, Lord sounds good. Spock's Beard, I'm kind of interested in hearing what they do at this show.
Maybe we could call this thing Spock's Beard.
Oh, yeah, I'd like that because it is,
it's hairy.
It is hairy.
It's evil.
I feel like I need to live long and prosper when I see it.
Because Spock's beard was evil, right? It was evil.
That's true. Mirror, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but anyhow, yeah. So tonight for me, Spock's Beard and Lord, I guess, would be probably the main bands that I'm kind of interested in checking out. And I'm good with all of it. Dragon Force, I think, would probably be a little over the top for me because they seem like an over the top band. But overall, I'm good with all of it, and I'm looking forward to tonight's show. I'm looking forward to the whole festival. To be honest, I think it's going to be the whole thing is going to be excellent.
Yeah, for me, this is 4 days. This is one more than Deathfest. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, ooh, do I have the stamina to last?
Oh, you totally have the stamina to last. It's because we get to sit on this one.
Exactly, and it's inside.
And it's fewer bands, despite the fact it's going to be balls hot in the mid-90s. We'll be inside the whole time, so.
Do they have AC in there?
Yes.
Excellent. So, yeah, I'm not entirely like, woohoo, Dragon Force, who cares? I'm curious. Yeah. I'm Dragon Force curious. I do want to see Lord, and Spock's Beard I'm down with. Streams of Passion, I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I am an acquaintance of their music. I've heard it. I've been like, meh, okay. I think I reviewed their first album.
And it's their last show ever.
And it's their last show ever.
It's an event for us. It's the last show.
We can be like, yeah, we were there. Where were you? Yeah, you weren't there. You're a poser! You weren't there for Streams of Passion's last show. And everybody's like, who? But hey.
Yes.
So, all right, yeah. Well, it should be fun. If nothing else, it eases us gently into the first of 4 days.
Yes, because tomorrow night it's going to kick it off huge. I think personally
because of Blind Guardian.
Blind Guardian. I know TR, you're big on Circus Maximus.
Yep.
Pyramaze, or however you say their name. We're all looking forward to because of the multiple singers. I think I would love to see Matt Barlow with them, and Lance King will be cool too. Yeah. And then obviously Ghost Ship, George
Octavius.
Thank you. So
Not
yes.
Octavarius. Or,
Octavarius.
It's funny. It's interesting.
For a late ad, that's
Couldn't have asked for any better.
exactly. I mean, I was a little bummed when Glory Hammer wasn't going to be here. I don't know anything about Glory Hammer, but after seeing like a couple of their videos and like, I mean, they seem to be like it's kind of like the Spinal Tap of power metal.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the fact that they're kind of making fun of it while they embrace it, and you can tell that the guys are talented musicians.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And that you can see that they're having a good time, and it looks very entertaining. And so for that reason, I was really excited to see them. But of course, when they couldn't get their visas, and that happened, I mean, literally, last week they found out.
This happens far too often.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And so for them to make this last minute late ad of Ghost Ship Octavius,
See, I almost
which
did it too.
I almost did it too, is actually really great. I didn't know anything about them prior to hearing about this. When Glory Hammer pulled out of this, and so
Glory, what pulled out?
I beg your pardon.
Hanging out in South
yes.
DC.
Where's Will? Where's Will? He's down in Anacostia again. That sounds like that should be like the ending of a Guar song. Where's Will? Oh, he's in Anacostia again. Oh, and then everybody gets squirted with blood.
But bottom line, it sounds like this is going to be a very satisfying substitute, and in fact, a lot of people are like pretty psyched about it, to the point where it's like, yeah, this is like almost like, why weren't these guys the first choice? Yeah, right, exactly. So I think it's going to be definitely Thursday night is going to be a full night of really great bands.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing Glory Hammer. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan, not like Buke, his number one album last year. But I was definitely looking forward to seeing them. I thought it would be really interesting.
I thought it was number 4 last year.
I thought it was number 1.
Oh, man.
Oh, wait, no, last year was...
Run was number 1 last year.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell am I thinking? Sorry, Buke.
Yeah.
That's right, Wilder Run.
Yeah.
That wasn't like 2 years ago? I don't know. Too much beer. Anyway, I was looking forward to seeing them, and I was pretty disappointed when they dropped out. But I was very, very much more like, oh, Ghost Ship Octavius, definitely. I mean, like Death Fest this year, we had a couple of cancellations that sucked.
Destroyer 666
and Serpent Throne. Destroyer 666, yeah.
Serpent Throne was going to play there?
They had a commitment issue, not a visa issue. And that was...
So what was the deal with that?
Oh, right, yeah, it was like a work thing. Like
they couldn't...
Something came up with work, and so they were like, yeah, I can't take off work to go play.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love Serpent Throne.
Yeah, they're good.
I mean, they opened for the Sword that time, and I'm telling you, I was unfamiliar
with the DC Bra thing?
No, actually, this was a couple of years ago when the Sword played and they opened for them. And of course, they're instrumental, Stoner Doom, Sabbath style riffs. And I'm telling you, this band brought it. I was blown away by Serpent Throne, and basically, like right after that show, I bought everything that they had that of their albums. And a lot of people kind of. A lot of people are down on a lot of these bands that are kind of like Sabbath copies or like that kind of stuff. But 70s. Yeah, retro. But I'm telling you, these guys are authentic, and I really appreciated what they were doing. They were, you could tell that they had a great sense of humor, and the I can't remember the guitarist's name, but basically he was like, kids want riffs, and we're bringing the riffs, and it's true, they bring the riffs. And I love Serpent Throne, and I'm looking forward to whenever they, create another album. It's unfortunate that I didn't know that they were going to play at Death Fest, but I'm telling you, they were at the DC Brow thing, right?
Will and I saw them at DC Brow, and we both loved them. Yeah.
They're an excellent band, and I was hooked when I first heard them, and I was really, you go to shows, and you never know when you see these opening bands, what's going on? Because if you've never heard of them or whatever, but sometimes you get a real gem, and these guys for me were that, and I was really glad to see these guys and to hear the music live. I mean, it was very powerful live. They sounded great live, and so
How were they live?
they were outstanding. And so anyhow, I'm looking forward to whatever they do next. But it's really unfortunate they didn't show up to Death Fest or couldn't do it or whatever the issue was.
Yeah. Did they get a replacement band at MDF, or I know Gruesome just played twice, but I thought they did get like some sort of death metal band that it was just like, oh, yay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I mean, that's how memorable it was. It was like whoever they got to replace them was like, who cares?
Yeah, the Gruesome double show was awesome that we got a second set of them, even though they played most of the same songs.
Yeah, it was like we were out in the parking lot drinking beers going, oh, there's nobody coming on now. And then we're like, that sounds like Gruesome. Shit, get in there.
That was fun. That was fun to see them twice. It was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, did they play a whole different set, or what was it?
Like one or two songs max, I think. But it's just the fact that I don't know, you probably don't know much about Gruesome. They're kind of a death tribute band, but they play their own. It's their own material, but it's a tribute
style
of death. Yeah. So Will was like in Seventh Heaven, and all of us, everyone in the group, Buke, George, myself, Jay, we all loved. They were great. So it was fun to see them twice, regardless of the fact that they played the same songs. Okay. And kudos to them for jumping back on stage again, so bucket.
Yeah. All right, well, I don't know if we have anything else to talk about before the show. We will either check in during the show or after the show. And
well, I'm looking forward to see what George thinks of this compared to MDF, so... TR already knows this situation, but I'm looking to see what he thinks, because this is like the luxury festival. You get to sit, you don't have to walk that far to the bathroom.
Air conditioning.
There's no porta potty, but you better have a couple bucks, because that dude's going to be pissed if you don't pay him for that towel in the bathroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's what I'm curious to see what you think about it. If you're not big on the bands, but you like the setting, it's so good that you don't care. Or do you like the bands and the setting, or vice versa, whatever. So,
well, on the way down here, particularly this morning as driving in, John was like, I can't believe I'm getting George to listen to Spock's Beard. I can't believe I'm getting George to listen to Dream Theater.
Yeah, we progged out on the way down.
And so, I'm definitely expanding my mind in terms of my prog listening experience. And I've already got a couple of notes for things to check out when I get back. So, hey, you never know.
It's all part of the deal.
Exactly. All right, we'll check in later.
Cool.
See ya.
Out.
Hello, and welcome to day 2 of ProgPower XVII. My name is George.
This is John.
I'm TR.
And, so like I said, it's day 2. Today we're going to be seeing some cool bands. But before we talk about that, let's talk about what happened last night. So we got to the venue, I don't know, roughly an hour before the first band was supposed to start. Yeah, and there's a bit of a line, which I take it's not usually quite so bad.
Well, I think on the tickets for Everyone Days, it's a little long. I think what was long was they added the extra security, which you felt like it was going to be like some horrible security when we got up there. And it wasn't bad. It just took them a little while to wand everyone. The guys were all friendly, I thought. I was worried it was going to be like, take off all your clothes. Because you could see everyone taking stuff out of their pockets in line. But I think it was just a slow security that kept the line looking even longer than it was. And we didn't know till we got up there.
Yeah, I had like tons of shit in my pockets, and I brought a bunch of business cards to hand out, and I just got rid of them all at once. I dropped all but 3 of them apparently as I was getting all the stuff out.
Well, do we need to go back to that spot on the street where we were standing and just see them all like right lying there?
I meant to look when we walked out, but I forgot to look, and I was concerned about the recorder and the Cougar Bush because
they were fine.
Yeah, well, I took everything I had and stuffed it in my hat, and they didn't look at any of it. So if you're trying to get into a show with something you don't want them to have, or at least this particular show, just shove it under your wallet or your whatever and stuff it in something. And they're only looking at what you have on you. take your contraband, set it to the side, let them wand you, take your contraband, and go in.
Yeah, I mean, to secure those has been pretty good for years. I mean, they're going to check every bag, minus, I guess, the woman who had the knitting needles, but which I thought was kind of strange. Why you would bring those? Does anyone think? I get people bringing weed to a show, and that's contraband. Why knitting needles? I don't know.
Well, I know people that knit, and they take it with them everywhere because when they have some free time, they do a few things. But I was like, those are big, long fucking spikes at a show. I'm like, how is that not a security concern?
That's my point. You would think that you wouldn't do that for that reason. It's like, why bring a 1 or half-year-old to the show and stand on the floor in front of the speakers?
Yeah.
Now, in their defense, they did have headphones for the little guy, but I agree. I really don't see the point in bringing an infant, essentially, to...
No babysitter.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Why would you bring a little baby? They have no conception of what's going on. It's I don't know.
It's the first time I've seen it here. Here's the thing. Yeah, they had the earphones. Babies feel vibrations, too. Because I know half the time I'm like, man, that double bass is going to make me have to go to the bathroom.
Well, if you're a baby, it doesn't matter.
You can just go.
Yeah.
It matters to those of us who are standing next to the baby.
But yeah, I took a picture. I was sitting right behind the girl with the knitting needles, and I, slyly or not so slyly, took a picture over her shoulder and posted it. And I was like, yeah, knitting needles. Get down in the pit and jab somebody through the eye with that.
Well, to her credit, she didn't move the whole night. I don't think she got up once the whole time, it seemed like. I think she did.
Once or twice for
she did.
drinks and bathroom powder.
But it just didn't seem like it. It seemed like she was always there, so...
Yeah. Did you notice if she had like a sweater by the end or anything?
She had something. It looked like about the size of a beer cozy, but it was open at both ends and it was red. So I knew quite a bit about it actually.
And you just noticed the word dragon coming across it. So apparently she hadn't finished the force part yet.
Yeah. So we got in eventually. Got in with the recorder, which I didn't end up using. I think I may actually leave it back today. Somebody's knocking at our door.
Sorry to bother you. They told me that you had an issue with your shower.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm not sure what it is. So
we will continue in a moment. All right, we're back. That was the guy from the hotel coming to look at our shower because we have like a shower stall as opposed to like a bathtub shower, which is quite nice in that regard because I hate the slipping and sliding in it. But yeah, anyway, the seal on the door was not so good, and we had a bit of a flooding issue this morning. Yeah, a lot of fucking water on the grounds. Anyway, carrying on. After we got into the venue, we went and sat down. And
so let me ask you guys, because I'm the veteran here. What did you guys, and TR's been to a few, what did you think of the setup going in? I mean, it's not like a super plush venue, but I think it's kind of a nice venue. There's not a bad seat in the place.
Yeah, I liked the, what do you call it, Greek-style theater seating, but not in a massive amphitheater sort of way. There's, a relatively small club size. And, yeah, I thought that worked out really well because, everybody got to sit down. I think...
those on the floor, of course.
Except for those people on the floor. But, I mean, like... pretty much any show I've ever been to, if there's seats, you sit down between sets and stand for the band. And we pretty much sat the whole night, which was like, wow, that's different and kind of nice. Use the seats as intended. But maybe that's, that's not metal. But so what?
But you notice it is a little older crowd. There's a lot of people who've been in the scene for a long time, whether it be the metal bands or the prog bands. And I think people just want to sit.
Yeah, and, Buke sent me a message asking if it was like 90% nerds. And, to be fair, it was pretty much a typical metal crowd, perhaps slightly older, so not quite as many long hairs. But there were still plenty of long hairs and tattoos and, there's dark funeral shirts. And
I saw that guy. I was like, cool, right on, man.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Maryland Death Fest shirt today to bring a little of the heavier side. And You know, but otherwise it was pretty typical, you know, hard rock metal crowd. So,
What did you guys think of the sound overall? Not setting aside any technical issues, which there were a couple for two bands. I thought the sound even with earplugs is still pretty good overall.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I felt like you could. There were a couple of times when during certain bands, I felt like the mix was a little bit off in a couple of ways, but overall,
that would have been the guy working the board as opposed to the system.
Yeah. Just sitting there and listening, like you could definitely hear what you needed to hear. So.
It seemed to me they were having some issues with the lead mic just a couple times here and there. Like the guy from Lord, a couple times it seemed like he went out.
He was a little hard to hear.
And then he would get back up like, you know, I just did. People can't see what I did with the bush here. And then it was perfect. Then he sounded great. And it seemed like George is rubbing the cougar bush on me. It seemed like the singer who was by far, I think, the best singer of the night was a woman from Stream of Passion.
Yeah, I would.
She had a great voice. She had just a little bit of an issue once. Guy from Spock's Beard had a slow start. Once he got going,
in more ways than one.
Yeah, boy. And then I had trouble hearing the guy from Dragon Force, but I think it's because they have a wall of everything going on at one time. Yeah. Every instrument is...
Yeah, and I felt like there were times when you could hear him pretty well.
Yes.
And then there were times when you couldn't. So I'm not sure if it was just his, you know, technique with holding the mic or if it was just a matter of
a lot of
the sound
play and
cutting out right. So I'm not sure what that was. But, I mean, you could definitely hear him from time to time. And, you know, he definitely had great pipes. But, you know, overall I thought the sound was good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I did spend a fair amount of time messing with my earplug placement from band to band because if I popped the earplugs out, the sound was good. Mm-hmm. You know, and it wasn't overly loud. If I didn't already have ravaged tinnitus hearing, I probably could have gotten away with not wearing earplugs.
Did you do that for Spock's Beard?
Yeah.
And it wasn't loud.
Actually, I don't recall. I was. We'll talk about why I didn't do that for Spock's Beard later when we get to them.
You don't remember.
But at least for the first two bands, and even for Dragon Force, you know, the sound was pretty decent. But like sometimes I had to tweak the earplugs a little so I could hear the vocals a little better.
I didn't pop mine the whole time. I left mine in the whole time.
Yeah, me too.
And towards the end, it starts to get a little tight. But I find if I pop them out and then put them back in, I can never get back to my original place where I adjust to eventually. So that's why I didn't do it.
Well, I have a hard time hearing at shows because with all the people talking, you know, I was telling John, I'm sorry if I was a little antisocial in the venue because I have a hell of a time hearing somebody talking right next to me.
Oh yeah,
we did too.
That's why he was getting frustrated with me. He kept talking to me, and I'd be like, "What?" And he'd say, "Oh."
Well, it was just the one time because I thought you heard me because I thought you responded to something else because I couldn't hear you.
I didn't know what you were saying. Yeah, and then when I thought I knew what you were saying, it wasn't what you were really saying.
So I wasn't trying to yell. I just because I can't tell if I'm talking too quietly. So finally just said, "It's me!" And he went, "Oh, no. And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
Yeah, so don't feel bad about that, George.
Yeah, sometimes I just nod and smile. I'm like, you're talking a lot, and I'm only getting every third word, and hey, okay. But, it's rough.
Yeah, it's hard to hear. And I don't like taking out the plugs either in between just because then you got to jam them back in and everything. And it's not an issue.
It's pretty hard to talk even when there's no bands playing if I have the earplugs in. So I tend to take them out so I can socialize a little bit. Yeah. As you know, difficult as that is, it's a little easier if you're standing and you can like sort of group into a circle and talk into each other's faces. But when you're leaning across the seats, it's like it's nearly impossible. But so first band was Lord, as we mentioned, and I don't know. Personally, I thought they were pretty awesome. You know, they came from Australia. The dude from Dungeon, which John said that they actually played a couple of Dungeon songs.
Yeah, apparently they played 4 Dungeon songs. Half their set was Dungeon. Yeah. It was cool.
I noticed one of the songs was The Legend of Huma. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was a Lord song or a dungeon song, but it's funny because I just happen to be rereading the Dragonlance books at the moment, which is The Legend of Huma is based on one of the characters from the Dragonlance series, and I was like, the fuck? I'm like just reading about this.
I think it actually is a dungeon song, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
Okay. So, but yeah, they sounded good. You know, I haven't seen, and I'm going to repeat myself with this a lot, I haven't seen a power metal band like that play live before, except with the exception of Hammerfall. I did see Hammerfall, which was slightly different. And it was kind of cool to see the whole, like, everybody's, like, singing these big bombastic choruses and, you know, playing the fast guitars and just looking like they're having fun on stage instead of being all dark and, you know, brooding. So
my issue with power metal is that, well, I said to you afterwards, I thought they were good, but every song after a while sounds the same to me because I'm not a big power guy.
yeah.
I will say this. The choruses where everyone's singing, they were singing. It didn't sound like they piped in any extra vocals, so then I don't mind the gang singing if it's everyone doing it on stage. They were great. I couldn't differentiate songs after a while.
And you know, not having a whole lot of experience in that whole realm. I mean, I've like heard some power metal bands. To me, there was because of the guitarist, I guess, is kind of like been around a while. I think, like you said, it's like 26 years he's been doing this or something. And so to me, like when I listened to that band, even though, you know, it's I guess maybe classified as power metal, to me there were old school elements of what they were playing that sounded very much like straight ahead metal. In the flavor of Maiden or one of those other earlier metal bands that, to me, kind of undergirded the power metal. And I may be just like coming from a place that maybe doesn't make sense, but to me that's kind of like the impression I got. Like there was like this foundation of like old school metal, but with the power piece like layered on top of it.
Yeah. Well, we had this. Georgia had this conversation in the car that we did not record, that original power metal is really a derivative of speed metal, which is a derivative more of like some Maiden and a lot of Priest.
Okay.
You know, Iced Earth, I guess, early in the years. So power metal today, I think, is different than what it probably was X number of years ago. So yes, you're right. They had a lot of older 80s, early 90s style to them.
Yeah, power metal used to be a little more diverse. It was just sort of a general style.
Right.
And then I think it just became a template. And then at some point, everything after that it's got to have this. And so they just got cookie cuttered at that point and pigeonholed. And
I guess we just call them power metal because I don't know how else to classify them. I would say that, yes, they're more just a metal band, straight ahead metal, I would think.
Yeah,
more or less.
The impression I got. And you know, I feel like a poser with you guys because like I like metal. I like mostly hard rock and like the kind of standard metal bands. And so like from that respect, like I don't have the depth of knowledge that you guys do when it comes to some of the metal genres and some of the styles of metal. So you know, if I'm like kind of out in left field sometimes, just let me know. But
you're one for one so far. So I think
okay,
you're
well,
right.
good.
what are your thoughts on Impaled Nazarene?
It sounds like it hurts.
All right. So what about the next band, Stream of Passion?
So, a couple of things about them. First, this was supposed to be, well, she came out and said this was their first show in the United States and their last show in the United States because by the end of the year, the band will cease to exist. And so she didn't really get into the details of that. I guess some, like we did hear a couple of things about what's behind that, but
Yeah, they're just calling it quits.
But bottom line is that first of all, I thought they did a great set. Although, if it's your last concert, I'm thinking they played a couple of cover tunes, which I thought, you know, if this is your last show, I would think you'd want to play your own stuff more. But
Yeah.
I kind of thought that their covers were interesting. But she had great vocals, and the band was good. They did suffer from technical difficulties at one point, where I guess the guitarist and maybe even the bass player had to like leave the stage. they recovered fine because the keyboard player and the singer were able to play a song, which I thought that actually worked very well and really didn't seem to alter the vibe or the flow of the concert any. But I thought they were very good. I thought they were real tight. Her vocals were outstanding, and I thought the mix was good for them once everybody was playing, and each one of them seemed very talented musically. So overall, I enjoyed that.
You could tell that the guitarist was having problems because I couldn't hear him at all the first 2 songs before he left stage. The guy with the little
headless.
The little dime store. I mean, I'm sure it's a good guitar.
Well, you could. I mean, it had the compound radius and the
Yes.
you could tell that it was like a metal constructed specifically to play fast and all that.
Yes.
But
it was just
it
so
looked
small.
like it was a toy though because it had no head, and I don't know who makes it.
Looked like those old Steinberger guitars.
Yeah, kind of, but even like a more modern take of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you there, John.
It just seemed he had a little bit of trouble, but once he came back,
on, it was like
you could hear him.
You could hear him.
His
Yeah.
solos, you could hear and stuff, and so it was cool. I agree with everything you said. I mean, I'm not big on anymore on the kind of symphonic, gothic, whatever. It's not even gothic metal, it's just symphonic metal. But they didn't overdo the symphonic part. And I'm interested to find out if they've covered those 2 songs. One was
Sonata
Arctica, and then the other was Radiohead. I'm curious if they recorded them and released them, because if they did, I agree.
see it.
I agree. 2 covers in your last show, but if they actually recorded them and released them, then okay, they're in your repertoire then a little bit. Then so I would have preferred another song from them, but it doesn't matter. The Radiohead cover I thought was actually kind of cool. It didn't sound like Radiohead, but it did sound like Radiohead. So they had their own flavor to it.
Yeah, it was a little. I mean, obviously, it was a little more bombastic.
Yes, it was.
And so in that way, the nice thing about the Radiohead version is, and we're talking about Street Spirit or
Street Spirit,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
that song kind of builds. It's very quiet, and then it kind of builds and builds, and then it's huge.
'Cause I'm a creep. That's the only song by them I know.
Okay, well, Street Spirit it's kind of follows that same kind of recipe of just kind of being real quiet and then building, and just kind of getting big, and just being powerful, and they kind of pretty much it was on and the whole time, and then it got really even more bombastic, but it was a cool version, and I it was an interesting take on that song that I thought. Yeah,
the other cover, I'm not a fan of that band, so I didn't care personally.
Yeah. As I said, I was going to say this again. I think this was probably the first time I've seen a female-fronted symphonic band live before. And I've stated probably many times on the podcast that I'm not a huge fan of that style. But that's only because Evanescence came along and killed everything, and everybody was like, let's cookie cutter this and make 100 more of these.
Yeah.
When people like The Gathering first started doing this, I was like, this is freaking awesome. This is brilliant.
And that was more metal based as opposed to symphonic, even though they had the gothic feel to them. Yeah.
There are other bands like Third and the Mortal and
Theater of Tragedy
and stuff like that. So yeah, I liked all of those bands. It's just too much of a good thing ends up being
going really
badly. So
and that went south fast. Yeah, the whole genre just, for me, is done.
Yeah, by the time this band came out, I was kind of getting over it. But I think I did. I'm pretty sure I reviewed their first album, at least mostly positively.
In defense of this band, though, they are, I believe, an Arne Lucassen project, weren't they?
They were
the first album he was involved with. So, and they're a Dutch band, and I believe she's from Mexico, the singer. So I can see where they came from, and they don't think they morphed too much from that. I don't know them as well. I had the first album too. I just haven't listened to it in ages.
Yeah, me neither. But I thought they sounded great. Her voice was pretty amazing. I've certainly not heard too much singing like that live. It's usually a lot of
what was nice is they didn't have in the let's put in for formulaic purposes the growling guy.
Yes.
Whereas After Forever may have been one of the first bands to do that, and George will correct me on the pronunciation, Tristania. Tristania.
I say Tristan.
Okay, they're probably one of the very first ones to do that.
Yeah.
That was original.
Yeah.
And now it seems like everyone throws it in. Within Temptation also, can't forget them early on.
And what's the band with Christina Scabbia?
Lacuna Coil, which he wasn't necessarily as guttural. He did some harsh vocals, but all those early bands, it was new. And it seems like now, you're right, they just throw that in there to have it in there now. But they don't do that in this band, which was kind of nice. I kind of, it's just her. Yeah. And she's not too operatic either.
Yeah, there was another band that I really liked that did that, was called Dismal Euphony. And they had an album called I think the album was called All Little Devils. It was like their second or third album. And I freaking loved that. The harsh vocal guy with the clean vocal woman. And there's another band. I don't know if there was a dude singer at all. Lulla Cry.
Oh yeah.
You remember them? They their first singer, and I think it was their first album. I freaking loved that.
Let's go back. Yeah.
They had a song like "Be My God," I think it was, and it was great. And then they like switched singers, and I was like, not so much.
There's a case of a genre that was new and different that everyone could get into, that immediately, just like you said, Evanescence showed up. And can blame them all we want. They might have just been the band that got to be the most popular, although she didn't endear herself with a lot of people.
No.
And her bandmates. But there's a genre just completely has fallen off the earth for a lot of people. And it's too bad because everyone still feels strongly about the early stuff still, or at least likes the early stuff still.
Yeah.
So
it's telling that, as far as I can tell, her career isn't really doing anything.
Oh,
at least not like it was.
I believe they're working on a new album. I just saw that because it's all big news again.
Really? But I mean, I haven't. Since I know they put out a follow-up album, I think like the guitar player / boyfriend left or something, but you never hear about them anymore, and that is a good thing.
Don't worry, Blabbermouth will have it on there, and Corey Taylor will comment. So,
as will Scotty and Rob Flynn and
a whole other host of people that Nikki Sixx, I'm sure will be on there too, because now he's commenting all the time on everything. So,
and then Phil will come along and goose step all over it. And
no, actually, and I'm not defending Phil. Phil will just walk down the street and somebody will have a problem.
Yeah. No offense to Phil. I'm just trying to think of the various, blabbermouth dramas that have reared their head lately.
We should just stop there because it'll just morph into something horrible.
Yeah, we're getting a little off the track here. So after Stream of Passion, there was a bit of an extended break.
Yes.
Everything was set up so that there would be a half hour between bands, which is pretty typical of shows that only have one stage.
Yes.
And
let me state for the record, this is a crew that works for Glenn that he is very loyal to, and those guys and girls, they work their butts off. I'll say my piece and I'm getting out because these guys will go off for the next hour. They'll take the whole amount of time we waited to describe what they think. It'll be like us sitting in traffic for Sabbath. We sat in traffic longer than their set.
Yeah.
They had technical difficulty setting up as Spock's brings a boatload of shit with them. I wasn't happy about it, but I'm willing to wait for the answer on what happened before I decide to rage or accept. Now I'll let these...
Stop being so reasonable.
I'll let these two now... I'm going to go get some water and check what time it is. I'll let these two have their little rant, and I'll be back. I'm just having fun.
Taking the piss out of us. Yeah, so it was supposed to be a half-hour changeover. They were supposed to start at 8. And they did not start until like 9:15, 9:20, somewhere around there.
Essentially when they were going to be done.
Yeah, exactly. And I get very irritated by this whole Axl Rose syndrome.
But I don't think it was.
I understand.
That.
I've retracted, but at this point, most of the things that I said.
You probably weren't thinking that it wasn't that. Meaning that it wasn't that. Meaning you probably think it was Axl Rose syndrome.
Well, it's like I consider the Axl Rose syndrome to be he just doesn't feel like coming out yet, and in this case, I was, pulling completely out of my ass with no basis on fact or any sort of reality that they brought too much gear or it was too complicated and it was taking them longer to set up and because they're the second to last important band, it's okay for them to take a long time setting up their computers and all their stuff, or that they just weren't prepared and they're like, oh shit, this is going to take longer than we thought. Either way, my time's important too. And
Where did you have to be last night?
well, I didn't. Technically, I didn't. But as I was telling TR earlier, while you were toweling off, while you were in the shower,
Details. The softer side of Prog Power.
anyway, you weren't in the room, and fuck, what was I going to say?
You're telling me how your time is important.
Oh yeah, how my time is important. We could have had an interview set up at 11:30 after the show. I could have been going to meet my brother, and suddenly, instead of getting out at 11:30 when it's supposed to, it's getting out at 1, and that just fucks your whole night. And I'm like,
Okay. So,
and I understand things happen, and a small delay is inevitable, and it's not like I went off. I pretty much kept my mouth shut about the whole thing, and I'm only talking about it now because we've been talking about it. It irks me when something goes so wrong that it has to interfere with your life outside of what was planned. And I know I'm being very rigid, and
I'm going to add just two things. One, and I won't. The first thing I will bring up when we talk about Dragon Force and George's time, and two, I will factor this in. It had been a while since George ate,
yes, I was a little bit hangry.
and I can say that because TR has witnessed me when I haven't eaten after a while, and it's just like,
No different for me.
yeah.
I've seen the bear get grumpy.
Somebody woke the bear up.
Yeah, but I'm happy with myself. I did not unleash the bear. I did not make a scene. I did not, throw a tantrum. I just quietly pouted in the corner, and
And for the record, I wasn't happy either. I just was given a benefit of doubt because I've been to enough I've been to all the Prog Powers -1 to know that when there's a technical difficulty, here's the thing. They were actually trying to set up because you could hear them playing, and that's what was annoying me on a different level. It's like they're working on it. Why isn't it happening? So I wasn't thinking it was Axl Rose like, well, I'm going to eat some more chicken and I'll just go out whenever I want to. I wasn't thinking that.
I wasn't either. I just felt like maybe
You were thinking more.
they had miscalculated their time, or they just because they're like, oh well, we have to have such a big setup, we get to take more time, and I'm like, I'm like, screw you,
Now that you said it that way, I will concede that if that was the case, then I would be on your camp 100%. Then, if that were what it was,
If it's true.
It's true,
we don't
I mean,
know,
yeah.
because, it could be literally any kind of technical issue of, hey, we can't get this to
smallest thing
come
could
through,
screw you
and we're not getting this patch, or we're not getting this keyboard sound, or
Yeah.
if it's a
maybe
technical
it's a bad cable, and you're trying to troubleshoot the cable, or maybe you've got some other issue, or now you've got who knows? I mean, it could have been a bad mic, it could have been anything.
And one thing I'll say, and I'm not the apologist here, but Glenn did post in a tweet saying, hang in there, guys, there's got a ton of stuff, they're working on it. He did post something.
Yeah.
People did ask him, does that mean it's going to change the set times for everybody? And I think that was one thing you didn't know also, is that there is no curfew. They're going to play all fucking night. We don't have to get out at any certain time.
Yeah, I never understand. Like, some places they pull the plug at 11:30, and some places they don't. So I have no idea. And
this is interesting because bands in Newport, and you may have been with me for a couple where bands have been. Serenity, I think, got cut short, didn't they? Didn't they have some technical issues? And I think they lost a song or two on their set when we saw them. And somebody asked Glenn, are you going to cut Spock's beard? And he said, no, they're playing the full show. So at least that didn't affect their set, even though we had to wait for them. And more, and even though I'm not a Dragon Force fan, it didn't affect them. They got to play their full set, which seemed like everybody was happy. You had to wait an extra, basically, 35, 40 minutes to get them eventually.
Almost an hour.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it was a good hour.
Before they went on.
Yeah, because
It was like an hour
Dragon Force
in addition to...
They went on pretty quick, though, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah,
yes, they got them up pretty
Right.
fast.
well,
so.
within like half an hour. I mean, they were supposed to come on at 10, and Spock's beard got off at 10. And so then there was like a half-hour changeover. I think they maybe came on at 10:30. So yeah, they were probably only a half hour late.
Well, the reason I say it was fast is because if they had so much of a problem getting Spock's beard set up, and they did have a lot of cables rolled out there, they got that stage set up fast for Dragon Force.
Yeah.
And they changed the stage setup.
Totally different
Completely
setup.
setup.
Yes.
And now I know why they had the neon stickers. Did you guys wonder why those neon stickers were on the stage?
I was looking at that.
Where's the setup? And then it was all for Dragon Force. So they were ready to go for them. I wonder if that drum set was set up beforehand and they just started bringing out the big pieces all at one time, because it was a completely different set, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
drums were over here. The keyboard was over there. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
a whole swap out. Plus, they had that extra little riser or something for those guys.
So credit to the crew for making up for the Dragon Force fans.
Yeah. And so one of the other things that kind of, yanked my chain a little bit was, the Spock's beard came on knowing full well that they were really, really late. And they acknowledged that. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then the funny guy with the mutton chop thing and the work shirt look that doesn't work for me. So they play some songs or whatever, and you're starting to wonder, okay, are they cutting short? Are they going long? What's going on? And at like 20 after 9, somewhere around there, he's like, you want one more song? As noted, they played till 10. That one song was like an eternity.
It was 19 minutes.
Yeah, it felt like half an hour, just based on looking at my watch. But I'm like, who comes on that late and then closes with the song that long? It's like that. It seems like a dick move.
Prog band. So see, you didn't even complain about that. So you had no problem with that. Yes, we're used to this.
Hear one more song? I thought, okay, we're in for it.
We're in for it. Yeah, exactly. Mind you, we are seeing Green Carnation, who is playing one song that's an hour long.
Yeah, what's that? Saturday or Friday?
Yeah.
Friday.
So I think all that that's funny. You didn't, and I agree. Actually, I would have preferred 2 songs or 3 songs. I would have personally,
that would have
just to give more to their set.
But also when you think about a prog band, you're kind of getting 2 or 3 songs in one song, because there is a little bit of variety and little change up and that kind of stuff.
The song that was more the issue.
Yeah.
I'm not a super fan of that song. I told you eventually when I did consider everything you guys said last night and thought about it. I was like, I think I'm agreeing with them on the last song. Everything else I was fine with for the most part. The last song, wasn't, maybe not the best ending song for me.
Yeah.
So, and that's coming from a fan now. So,
TR, Spock's beard.
no.
So, I was, I guess, familiar with this band since whenever they came out, because I do like prog bands, and I've been into prog bands pretty much my whole life. But this is just one prog band that I just never got into, and I've listened to them, and I just, for whatever reason, and by all rights I should like this band, but I just, it doesn't, I'm not compelled by this band, and I last night didn't change anything about that for me. I kind of was hoping that maybe seeing them live would change my mind, or that they would do something live that, and this has happened to me for other bands. You see them live and it's like a different band, and you kind of look at them in a whole different way, and then you can kind of, I don't know, you can essentially listen to their music and feel like, okay, I've got a memory of them live in my mind that kind of changes the way I think about this studio music, that maybe before it didn't really do it for me. But that didn't happen with this, and John, I want to like these guys, but it just,
But you don't.
I just can't. I really
Screw Spock's beard.
I mean, I look, I got nothing against them. They're outstanding musicians, and you could tell that, that they were getting behind the music. I just didn't feel anything from it, and it didn't really grab me. And so yeah, I got nothing against them. It's just that I just wasn't moved by it, and I wasn't compelled by it, and I just really, it just didn't do much for me.
So
Take your singer with his 90s haircut and his damn work shirt, your Eddie Van Halen looking guitar player, and get the hell out.
That's editorial by George.
And I'm just kidding, by the way.
So for metalheads who don't listen to prog, this is an ongoing thing amongst prog fans, that we will go back and forth about how we do and don't like certain things. TR and I will go, we're both yes fans, but we'll go off over periods of yes. And we'll add another friend in who comes up with something we're both like, you need to shut up. So this is...
Like earlier, I said that the best Yes song ever is Owner of a Lonely Heart.
And we were like, what? While some people like myself get more demonstrative about how we express it, this is all for fun. We're just fucking with each other. And now there's no like death threats like some metal band fans can be.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't get me wrong, and I'm one of those fans too.
Well, I think we all feel strongly about, the different music that we each like and that we, have opinions about. And it's all right to have an opinion about it. I mean, each of us kind of comes from a different place musically and inspirationally. And so we're not going to see eye to eye on everything, and I like I said, I did want to like this band, and I was really hoping that this live performance might change my mind, but it just kind of reinforced why I really can't get behind them. But I mean, again, it was a good, once they got past those first two songs was like
the first old song. I thought they sounded better. Yes,
yeah,
I agree 100%.
Vocally, it seemed like he either needed to warm up or he had to get used to the sound or maybe the monitors. I'm not sure.
I don't know how you guys felt. Was he doing too much? Playing guitar, singing, playing keyboards, all at the same time, kind of thing.
He's got an interesting vocal style. He can clearly hit those high notes, but he does it in a way that's kind of. I don't know. He has a different style that I'm familiar with.
It didn't look he was exerting a lot to do it. Did you feel that way?
No, but it still felt like it was kind of.
It was high.
It seemed like it was difficult, but yet he was able to hit him without any problem. So it was just I don't know how to explain this, but it seems like he has like a kind of a like it's difficult to do, but yet you can tell that it's not because he's able to hit these notes.
Maybe it's difficult for other people to try to do the same style, but for him, while it looks difficult, it's not. He has a very unique voice. While it's not, I know, George, you can comment on it because you're not from the prog side as much as maybe we are. It's not an annoying voice. It's a higher voice. Yeah. So it translates okay. It's not screechy, but I can see where people might not like it, but I don't think it's a screechy like James LaBrie at his worst. It's not even near that. No. He has a good singing style. Yeah, I agree. It took them just a little bit to get warmed up.
He had to get a little warmed up, but then once they did, it smoothed out and had a pretty good mix. You could hear all the instruments pretty well. So
I think they do. I think they, and I'm a fan. Full disclosure, fan of all the Neil Morse stuff, and I'm getting into the stuff with Ted Leonard as their singer, the stuff with Nick as their singer, their drummer when he sang. So I like the older stuff better. I still am not as big on the newer stuff, so maybe that didn't translate so well for you guys because it doesn't sound a lot like the older stuff. Mm-hmm. So that you could tell. Could you tell the difference between the older stuff and it seemed like the old stuff had a different feel to it?
It does have a little more contemporary, less proggy feel, maybe.
The new stuff does.
Yeah.
Yes. Agree. All right, fair enough. I'm tired of talking about Spock's beard because
I was ready for them to be done
because they weren't the band I came here to see the most. That's why. So
yeah, well, by the light of the next day and having slept on it, if I take away the things that irritated me about it and listen to the music, which I slept through half of it, admittedly.
It's okay because I was dozing during Lord.
I think we all kind of dozed.
But if they had come on time and there'd been no problems, I probably would have said I liked it because while it wasn't heavy and it wasn't metal, it was cool. I thought they played well.
They had a big sound though, even though they weren't metal. It was still a big sound. Meaning you weren't getting like, who's a prog band that's really light that I can't think of someone off the top of my head.
Like Glass Hammer or somebody like that. Yeah, I mean
like Genesis, even though they're prog, they could get, old Genesis can get pretty heavy with their sound.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it doesn't translate well trying to explain it. You have to hear it. So
yeah. All right. Well, they did claim to be the Kenny G of this festival, which I thought was pretty funny.
Here's the thing. They were self-deprecating on stage at least, and they said thank you for putting up with us tonight.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this: as much as you may not have liked the set or it wasn't something you enjoyed, you have to like the diversity though of going from kind of a metal band to a symphonic band to a far prog band, then way out to power metal heaven for some people. I kind of like the diversity on a non-traditional festival day, which is Friday, Saturday.
Right, and it does mix it up, and it does kind of make it interesting, and it does give you a little break, because sometimes getting all of that, like you guys were talking about Death Fest, where it's pretty much you're getting not the same thing, but like you're pretty much getting
mostly
like
death metal,
yeah,
with
it's
some black metal thrown in, some thrash.
So you're getting it in the face pretty good for a while, and to kind of get that break from time to time isn't bad, and it kind of gets you kind of amped up. And when Dragon Force came on, it was like, okay, you kind of felt like, all right, let's go.
I was looking to go, even though I didn't last long with that go. So maybe this is a good thing that even if I liked it and you guys didn't, that we're actually talking about the festival as opposed to going to a festival and you really don't have much to say about 4 or 5 of the 6 bands that played that day.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been to things where you're like, I really didn't care about most of the bands?
Yeah, Death Fest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I cared about a lot of the bands, but there's a lot of bands, when we do our postmortems on the Death Fest days, we skipped a lot. So we're just like, we didn't even watch them. So
maybe this is a good point that we're able to go back and forth about it, and we're actually talking about the festival.
Yeah.
So,
but there's also fewer bands here, right?
Yes,
I mean,
there's
Death
20.
Fest is like really, it's all day, and it's multiple stages, so you've got
multiple venues too on top of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they also are down at 2 Soundstage and
so
Ramsey.
That would be pretty overwhelming, I would think, if you really wanted to, talk about every band that played at that, and I mean that would be, I think, a pretty
burnout.
Yeah, you it would be very difficult to really absorb all that and really come away with, okay, here's how this band was for every band.
Especially with the amounts of beer that we drank.
we did okay yesterday ourselves.
And I think that's why we slept through Lord.
Yeah.
We didn't sleep through them, but
I actually heard the whole show. I just kind of was nodding here and there.
Yeah.
So real quick,
not through any fault of theirs. I mean,
they were great.
Oh,
It's
on
just-
stage, I thought they were great musicians.
Yeah,
I thought they were tight.
Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to say about it, because I know you want to move on, George, is it was either you or Buick or Jay always talk about how European festivals are more willing to mix up their band lists as opposed to American. And here we are getting that, and here we are striking up all this conversation. So maybe we need more of that here, whether you like it or not. To me, it's a good thing.
Elect Trump for diversity. I mean, wait.
I'll take Cartman, please.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
You guys for having done a festival.
Right. So Dragon Force was the last band on, and it was interesting. None of us were particularly fans.
I wanted to see them.
I wanted to see them just to be like, all right, well, what's this about? And
I don't dislike them. I think
I don't dislike them either.
They
I don't
were
really.
definitely entertaining, and I enjoyed like the energy that came out of them after kind of, I think everybody, a lot of people kind of felt after Spock's Beard. I think a lot of people, it was, nothing against them. They're a more mellow band. Like what we got from them was a more laid back prog kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so then, you hit the accelerator and it's like, here comes Dragon Force, you strap in and go. And that's how it was from the get-go. Bam, they hit it and it was just like, and you felt your hair fly back. And so from that regard, it was entertaining. It was fun. The keyboard player, which came from like a skate park or whatever, flying on his behind, flopping over and stuff. That was
he had the guitar rocking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it didn't really do much rocking when he couldn't get it to work.
It seemed like he was just like holding his fingers over it, not doing it. I was expecting to be all like, he didn't really do anything. So maybe it wasn't working. Is that all the red lights on there were like, not working?
So I'm admitted not a Dragon Force fan, although I don't hate them like you guys were saying either. You don't hate them. I don't like the formulaic stage presence, though, which is running back and forth. One guy goes one side, one guy goes to the other. I realize there's a logistics
Red 42! Red 42!
I realize there's a logistics issue getting guys, especially when you have cables, which none of those guys had cables, I don't think. Right. So that gets, to me, is a little cliche. And then like the two guys,
at least they're moving around.
No, I don't have a problem with that, but it's like, Maiden moves around, but they do all kinds of, and I'm not just saying because of me, but they do all kinds of it's not choreographed. They're always all over.
Yeah.
Like they do the choreograph.
I don't know that I felt like it was choreographed like you
Here's
do.
why I say that. So the singer would be on the riser in the middle, and then the two guitarists would walk up, and he immediately drop back, and then he would come back up, and they drop off. It didn't seem like there was ever a point where the guitarist would be playing, and the lead singer would just come up, and put his arm around him, and then they'd run off, and then it seemed like they always do it every show. Is what I'm saying.
Well, that's probably
maybe
true.
not choreographed.
Yeah, it probably kind of organically evolved out of multiple shows of doing this.
And they got a lot of people on stage, so they probably got to
That's true.
think about how they're going to
Exactly.
move.
You know,
And I think that's why
they
that's why they do the switch together at the same time.
Yeah.
I just like when there's times when it looks a little more improv in their stage setup. That's all.
Yeah.
I liked that. The only guy in the band that I knew what he looked like was named Henry Lee, the guitar player.
Henry or Herman Lee? I don't know.
Herman, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, the one guitar player.
The guy that's very famous.
Yes, the one you always hear about. I've seen him before. I had no idea what the singer looked like, and I didn't realize he was the love child of Sebastian Bach and Nico McBrain.
I feel so good. I feel so glad I'm not the only person. I was like, where did Sebastian Bach join the band?
He definitely had the Bach hair going.
And he had the pipes too.
Yeah.
He had the pipes. So,
And then, shit, what was I going to say? I don't know. Carry on.
I was just say we discussed that we probably wouldn't make it the whole show for them. We give them time because we want to see them.
Yeah.
And I think it ended for everyone on the same note, which was the keyboardist came out with his skateboard look, and he had the guitar, and he was jumping all around. And I don't know what possessed him to do this, but the drum riser was fairly high. What'd you guys say, about 1.5 feet maybe?
Yeah.
It was a D or two, not two, maybe.
Yeah, it's probably like a good foot and a half.
And he just possessed, in the space between the edge of the riser and probably the edge of the kit, was about, if it was 2 feet, I'd be surprised.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe 2.5.
Yeah, it's 2.5 feet. At least.
But there's also a bunch of shit on there too. It's not an empty space. He just was possessed to jump up onto the riser, and his foot caught on the edge or whatever, and he just slid right into the.
I'm not sure what he was trying to accomplish.
Like he was going to.
I think he was going to jump up there and rock out with the guy, and he just dropped to his butt instantly.
He slid into second base on his butt,
and you could see you could tell he was totally embarrassed, but he
popped right back.
He popped right
got
back
up and
up
took his
he was
hat
just
off
like,
and started to bow.
Thank you.
and
And
smart.
everybody, when you do it that way, everybody's like, okay,
But this is how you know he was a smart kid. He put that guitar down and got right back behind the keyboards and didn't want to rock that guitar again. And you could see him just telling off stage, I'm good.
Yeah.
But doing that, he completely fucked up their sound because something happened on the kick mics, and we were getting massive static feedback kind of thing going.
A bunch of that.
Yeah. And then at that point, I just looked over and I said, I think I'm done now.
I remembered what I was going to say, and that was that the bass player is also in that new Joey Jordison band. I want to say it's Sin Sanum, I think is how it's. So it's a much heavier band, with Attila from Mayhem and some other people.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, that's funny that he plays in such a diverse, from extreme power metal to extreme metal.
Well, that's kind of cool. I like that when guys do that.
And that first song, we're expecting the really fast picking. And it didn't seem like the guitar player guys were going that much faster than you expect to see. But that bass player's hand was a blur. He was on that E string and just going. Brrr. I was like, oh man, he's got, some sort of repetitive stress injury in his future.
I didn't get as much of the fast soloing as I thought. Maybe, I'm sure it was there. There was some there.
I heard plenty.
No. What I mean is there was some there, but it wasn't extended. It seemed like they were contained. And I know that there's songs where they really go off for a while. And it seemed the second song seemed like they did a little more soloing.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't as extended. So I got to see a little. Were you guys tripping out by the little blue light on his?
Yeah, that's cool. I was like, what is that? I didn't know if it was on the guitar. I guess it was on his hand.
It was on his hand. I felt like my cat because my head kept bouncing, following it. Because at one point when he started doing the same thing you were saying about the bass player, it was just lightning fast with his pick hand. I was like, what the fuck?
I assume that's why he does that, to
Yeah.
sort of highlight how fast it is.
Oh man! Well, again, I'm gonna use. You were looking at me funny last night, TR. It's the Earth spinning so fast theory. He was going so fast at one point, the blue light wasn't even moving as much as you thought it was because it was one stream of blue light. Because it was so he was moving like a
Warp
bullet.
speed.
Yeah, it's like just going really slow, even though he's like the whole time. So, I was done with them after 2 songs, though.
Yeah. So after that, we left, and that was pretty much the end of the adventure for that day.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on the dude down in the bar at the hotel who wouldn't let us eat there, so we'll leave it at that.
Fuck that guy.
That was the point.
Do we do?
Well, why don't we do a little
today's
preview
bands?
of today? So who's up first?
So
Who's on first?
It was previously it was Glory Hammer. Of course, they had to pull out of this thing because they couldn't get the visas or whatever the issue was. So
Yeah.
they put in Ghost Ship Octavius.
Yes, Van Williams.
So that'll be the first band.
I'm definitely looking forward to them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that was a very good substitution
Yes.
for last minute. I don't know how hard it was to get these guys,
I think you have to think that they've got a number of bands that are booked and signed. That if something happens, they can slide in. That their schedules are open to do that. There has to be.
well, and I would think if you're Ghost Ship Octavius, you're probably pretty excited to
jump
get
all
in
over
at the last minute, if you can, because you're going to probably get a lot of new fans.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to have a lot of fans already too.
Right. There are going to be people here that would be like, oh, yeah, great, here they are.
Yeah.
So, and then Pyramaze is after them, Circus Maximus, and finishing up with Blind Guardian.
Wait, but what about Blind Guardian though?
Playing all of Imaginations from the other side, and presumably some other stuff, since they have an hour and a half set, and I don't think the album's much more than an hour, if even.
If even now, so we'll probably get a nice 25 minutes of more material, which would be cool. Yeah.
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 So
I'm just curious. Now let me ask you this real quick. Do you want them to start with that, or would you rather have them start off with a few songs and then announce that they're doing it?
I think they should just jump right in,
Okay.
and they probably will.
I'm indifferent if they play a few songs and then they like to make a big thing about it, like we're going to do this, and then they end the set that way with the album.
I could see that, but I don't think they will.
But you would prefer they just jump right into Imaginations, right from the start.
I don't really have a preference, I guess, as long as I'm getting it one way or another, but just based on other shows that I've seen where people play the whole album of something, like, Amorphous did that, and
When they did, not Peace Cells, Rest in Peace, they did that. But they came out and played 3 songs, and then they played the whole album and closed the show. I can't decide which one I like better. So.
yeah, I think pretty much all the times I've seen bands play a whole album, that's like the only thing they do, which is like, it's kind of short, But I mean, I haven't seen that many that have done it.
Pagan's Mind did that. We saw that a couple years ago, and they did 2 sets. So they did the album, took a break, and then came back and did like a best of for the rest of their career. I like that. I can do that. That works for me. So,
All right. Yeah. Let's see. I don't really care about Circus Maximus, personally.
if they played songs from their first 2 albums, I would enjoy that. I'm like TR with Spock's Beer with Circus Maximus's last 2 albums.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's a varied set. I would like to see a varied set. Then hearing the new songs would be okay as long as I'm hearing some of the older songs. I don't think they're going to do that. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, they might mix it up.
Maybe they will. Hopefully they will.
And I'm looking forward to see Matt Barlow singing with Pyramaze.
And Lance King, right? I mean, I keep saying that he's going to be here, and I'm hoping I'm right about that.
Yeah, I mean, it says he
cool.
was, so
And the
yeah,
reason
it'd be
why-
cool to see him too.
The reason why I say it is because while I'm not some super fan, it would be nice to see all the singers from a band contribute. It sounds like it'll be a fun set. That's why.
Yeah, well, didn't it say they had 3 singers?
3 and the third singer, yeah.
Right,
So,
and all 3 of them are going to be
I
at
think
this
so.
show.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Borknogger song. Drink.
Well, I'm hoping
Oh, man.
because Lance and Matt Barlow are really good singers. Can we get them on the stage at the same time? Would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know,
If they sing together.
Yeah, that would be kind of like the we were talking about.
Like the Borknogger song. Drink.
We were talking about Jorn Lund last night and Russell Allen. I'd love to see those 2 on stage together, even though I don't know if they ever tour. Have they?
Well, I mean, haven't they done those Alan Land shows? I mean,
They have done-
or not shows, but the albums. But
They've done the albums, but I mean, I would love to see something like that live. Is what I'm saying.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
All right, we good?
We're good.
All right, we will talk to you later, either tonight or tomorrow, and fill you in on what happened. See ya.
Cool. Punch drunk.
What's up? We're not drunk, we're just tired. It's been a long day. Let me tell you.
Yes.
It has.
It's a short day because it's 12:25.
It is now Friday. But we just squeezed all the last juice out of Thursday, and here we are. So today was the second day, and as we probably already mentioned, it was Ghost Ship Octavius, Pyrames, Circus Maximus, and Blind Guardian.
Yes.
Initial thoughts on today?
I liked today. I thought today was a good day. I enjoyed 3 of the 4 bands. I didn't dislike the 4th band. I just was not into them, but we'll, I'm sure, get into that. So I'll just start with Octavius if you want.
Sure.
I thought they were good. I thought they needed some warm-up. It seemed like they were a little tight at first, and that might have something to do with the fact that they were a late entry. But I enjoyed the set. The sound was not good for them, and it got better as the show went on. But all in all, I think they put on a good performance, and for, like I said, a late entry, they did about as well as they possibly could. Only thing was, and I didn't realize this, you guys said it was a short set by 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, oh well, it was cool. I enjoyed them a lot, and I'm looking forward for more from them. So,
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I have to say it. That bass player dude was pretty damn hot. I did not know they had a hot bass player.
I didn't either. I didn't either. I think that made to the allure. They came out in some very kind of Victorian Gothic faces painted kind of thing, but I guess it just added to the whole ghost image.
There was a little bit of a kind of, there seemed to be kind of a air of mystery about them, or the delivery seemed more mysterious, or
Vaguely steampunk.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a better description. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but at first we thought there was, like, I don't know, some sort of insulation falling from the ceiling.
Yeah, it was
During
really
their set.
disturbing. It was like, at first it was like, oh, look, they did something up, and, something's coming down while they're
Blasting
playing.
out, and it was like, it looked like, at first I thought it looked like insulation.
Yeah.
And now this was falling from the ceiling above the crowd, not above them.
Right,
Yeah.
above the whole pit area.
And it wasn't like it was coming out like confetti does in sort of nice, even streams. It was like, it was coming down in like it was snowing, but it was also coming down in large chunks.
Yeah. And it turned out later, it just, I guess there were like suds or bubbles. It was supposed to, I don't even know if it was just maybe supposed to be, because if you looked at the set list that you looked at online at that point, it said something about haze. Mm-hmm. So I think that maybe that was supposed to kind of haze out, but it ended up just blasting out with like bubbles and suds, and it looked like a washing machine was above the their area and just busted open. So
I was, I always go straight to, disaster. I was like, first of all, I was like, it's asbestos. And then I was like, whatever it is, it could catch on fire like at the station. And I'm, eyeing it. Like, I'm like not paying any attention to the band for a couple songs. I'm just staring up there going, what the hell is that?
Yeah. At one point I kept saying, well, it's not falling on us, it's falling on them. That sucks to be you. And I looked, I was like, oh shit, a piece just hit me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's...
But it was just suds, and it just kind of vanished after a while. I mean, it just went away.
And it never came back for any other bands.
No.
Yeah, I think it was there during the break and then gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... Oh, well.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah. It was a neat little trick.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that Ghost Ship Octavius played a really good set, ultimately.
Yeah.
And, that singer guitar player guy, I saw him play a little bit with Ashes of Ares.
Yeah.
He came out and just did a song or two, I think, with them. And he looks pretty young, but he seems pretty talented, so...
He's got a really good voice, and he's a pretty good player from when we did hear him. I think, he's got a bright future if he keeps doing it.
Excellent. What about Pyrames? Now, I mean, I gotta say, Blind Guardian played a pretty damn good set, but Pyrames was like, that was wow. I was like, it's gonna be hard to top.
Yeah, I didn't know much of. Haven't listened to a lot of them. I know who they are and I know about them, but they played a killer set.
Yeah, and part of what made that set so awesome was the fact that throughout the band's history, they've had 3 singers. On the first 2 albums, Lance King was the singer. On the third album, Matt Barlow was the singer, and then the guy with the Norwegian name that Matt Barlow can't pronounce, or Lance King pronounced. One of that, who was it? Couldn't pronounce it.
Lance,
Yeah. And so there's been 3 singers, and they were all there. And so, like, the current singer came out and played for, I don't know, like 4 songs or
like 6 actually.
6 songs. Yeah, it was a bunch.
They played a lot of songs.
And then I think they did like 3 with Barlow and 3 with Lance.
And
then they did one where all 3 of them were singing, and that's so cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the current singer was good, but when Matt Barlow came out, I mean, he brought a ton of energy with him, and he was psyched and pumped. And the pit floor area was already having a good time, but man, everyone went berserk when he came out. It was awesome. And it wasn't any, moshing like there was later on in the night. It was just all pogoing and people just fists, and he sounded great. He really did.
Matt Barlow, as you may know, is a favorite of the Metalheads podcast. He's been on with us twice now, and such a good guy. The dude is like the equivalent, the epitome to me of like duty and like strength. And he's a cop by day and a heavy metal rock star by night. I mean, the dude is just amazing.
And my favorite part was his attire. George, would you care to tell us what kind of shirt he was wearing?
Hey, John. Fuck you.
And thus, I win.
Yeah, so if you've listened to yesterday's broadcast,
that was this morning.
This morning, whatever it is. Well, the one regarding yesterday, I was talking about how I didn't like the dude from Spock's Beard because he was wearing this work shirt kind of thing. And what does Matt Barlow walk out in but a work shirt? But it had like Ashes of Aries on the back, and it's Matt Barlow, so he can do whatever the hell he wants.
I will say this: if you're on stage, they do look like they're comfortable, because these guys are all wearing these like skinny jeans and tight shirts, and here these guys come out in these nice kind of flowing shirts that they're not huge on them. They just look like you're comfortable on stage, and at that age, they probably want to be comfortable.
Pyrame's thoughts?
I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed everything about every segment of that whole set. Each singer had a different kind of vocal style, not vastly different, but each guy you could tell just had his own thing going on, which I enjoyed, and you could tell that they all seemed to be excited to be there, which was really cool because I don't know much about the history of this band, and I understand that there's been a lot of lineup changes and a lot of different people have been in and out of this band, but I thought it was great that each of the singers was very complimentary of the others and was grateful to be there for this show, which was a very special show, I could tell, and the audience was very receptive. The songs I felt were really good, solid. They were, I felt, up to this point, one of the more melodic bands that we've heard, and of course, each of the guitar players were just really tearing it up, and I really enjoyed it. I felt that like there was a ton of energy there. Each, like you said, when Barlow came out, it was like, whoa, there was a lot of energy to start with, and then he came out and it was like it went up a notch, and then each guy just continued to carry that momentum, and so I enjoyed that whole thing. It was at the end of it, like you said, it was kind of like, wow, how's anybody going to top that? Mm-hmm. That was really outstanding. And so that was, to me, that was probably one of the best performances we'll probably see all weekend.
Yeah. Did anybody else think that the guitar player on the right side of the stage looked a little bit like Aragorn, Viggo Mortensen? I was like, dude, Aragorn's on the stage, rock on!
Now, was it me? Was he playing guitar? Or no, the reason I say is there's no bass player I saw on stage.
Well, that was...
So was he playing bass? Was he playing bass on some of the songs on the guitar? Because he was playing a certain way.
I'm not sure about that, because
I
I
thought
was
there was a
thinking...
bass player, like,
no,
hiding
that was the thing. I was thinking the same thing.
At times he was playing like he was a bass player.
I
in
thought
certain
he was
parts.
just kind of doing like backing chords.
And he was doing that, yeah.
But I thought like some of the bass sounds might have been coming out of
Off
the
the set,
keyboard.
yeah.
Nobody was using foot pedals, so I don't know.
So it was like a Doors kind of thing.
Well, you remind me of actually Animals with Leaders a little bit, how they have the two guitarists and just a drummer.
Yeah.
And the one guitarist kind of plays a certain way so that he gets some of the deeper notes.
Right.
So,
But you could tell that there were actual
yes.
low bass notes that were more than what would come out of that what he was playing.
It was interesting.
So I don't know where that was coming from. But,
Tape.
Yeah, either that or there was something going on the keys, or maybe the keyboard guy was kind of triggering some of the bass stuff. But
Might have been, yeah.
but yeah, I was kind of that occurred to me as well. That hey, where's the bass player here? Where's the bass?
All right. So then next up is Circus Maximus. Let's start with the TR on that one.
This is kind of a loaded question. Actually, I enjoyed them. I know that you guys probably didn't enjoy that set as much. Not that I really thought it was super awesome. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Each of those guys is very talented. And they're, I think, another melodic band that is. But I understand where you're coming from. As we talked about some of this, as the singer's got kind of a very clean style that is, maybe. You didn't really see the congruity between his vocal style and the music.
Yeah, well, I gave a lot of thought to this afterwards, because I know that no matter what I say, I'm going to come out the bad guy here, because
I don't think so.
no, because my reasons are not really fair. Okay, it's really a personal opinion that I can't expect to enforce on the rest of the world. And I understand that, because I try to be as fair and even-handed as possible when I can, but god damn did I hate that. and I was so I'm trying to explain this in the most reasonable and unoffensive terms. Heavy metal music should be heavy. That doesn't mean it has to be heavy all the time. Blind Guardian can play acoustic songs. You can throw in some ballads, but there should be some aggression in there somewhere. And Circus Maximus, the songs, all the players and the singer are incredible at what they do. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They're great at what they do, but I just don't consider that heavy metal, because there's really nothing aggressive about it. Like I said, the dude could easily sing for the Pet Shop Boys, or he could go out and do George Michael songs. He's got an amazing high-pitched voice, and he sings in a very pop style. And I have nothing against pop music. I like Madonna, I like Duran Duran, I like all kinds of pop music. I just don't think that this band is metal. And I know that's an elitist thing to say, but so one of the things I was thinking about, I was like, if you take a scoop of ice cream and you throw it in a pot of boiling water, is it ice cream anymore? No, it's become something else. And if you have music with distorted guitars, but it's not heavy in any way, is it still heavy metal? I don't think so. Because I don't like those people that like try to say that's not true cult metal or anything like that. And so I hesitated to say anything at all. But God, I really hated it. So.
Am I the middle ground on this one?
I hope so, yeah,
All right, so truth be told, I was a fan of the first album. I loved it. And I liked the second album. And the third album was when they kind of went to this poppier, maybe more progressive rock, not progressive metal sound with the pop element to their choruses, because they have this weird chug-a-lug during the intros and during the verse, but then they go to this very pop melodic chorus, which is odd. So I see where that comes from. I didn't dig it because it was mainly songs from the last 2 albums. They did do, I think, 3 songs from their second album and 1 song from the first. So I've been waning on it. So I wasn't as big on it. They're, like you said, they're beyond talented. There's no doubt those guys know how to play. And they sound great. I mean, they sound clean. It just wasn't doing it for me. And I do like their early stuff. So I would have, if they'd played more of the early stuff, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. But you can't expect them to when they have a new album out. So
I feel their talents would be better served in a different vehicle. I think they would be more popular. They would find a more appropriate audience. However, the audience here freaking loved them, and I was just my mind was blown that by the fact that the audience lost their mind for this, and then we're doing a pit for Blind Guardian. I'm like, it just doesn't. They just don't go together for me.
yeah, they had the second best response, I think.
They did.
Of
Yeah.
the 2 days. Of the 2 days, Circus Maximus was 2. Obviously, we'll talk about who was number 1 in a second.
Yeah.
But and I contradict myself with this, because to me, the spirit of heavy metal is heavy metal takes in everybody that doesn't fit anywhere else, and it doesn't matter what it is. If it can in any way, shape, or form fit under the heavy metal umbrella, come on in. So it just rubbed me the wrong way, and
This was your Spock's beard.
this is my what?
This was your Spock's beard, basically.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I'm sure I'm gonna have a band this weekend where I am not getting it, so.
Surprise guest, Steel Panther. And their pet snakes.
Yeah. Screw you guys, I'm going home. They better not be here.
I don't know. I don't think that really fits either. But
Yeah.
all right. So then after that, of course, the headliners, Blind Guardian. This is my second time seeing them. First time was at Jack's, which was good, but it was at Jack's, so it wasn't on a caliber with what we saw tonight, which was pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And they played a really long set. I mean, they must have played almost 2 hours.
Yeah, they played the whole album, Imaginations from the Other Side, and I think they opened with 3 songs, and then they encored with 4.
Yeah.
So they played a long time. So roughly almost 19, 20 songs? I guess was there 12 songs? I can't even think right now. I'm so tired.
Math and any sort of higher skills is not functioning right now.
I thought they were, I'm going to use the word, the podcast word, I thought they were amazing.
Amazing.
It's going to be great.
I've seen them, I think this is my 4th time. I saw them the first time at ProgPower, and I liked them then. Even though at the time, which I was way behind the times, I didn't know much about them. And I saw them a few times after that on the tour with Symphony X. But this blew all 3 of those shows away, hands down. My question to you guys is, what did you think of the vocals tonight? How did you think I thought he actually sounded pretty good.
I did too.
Considering I've seen some video where he sounded like he was struggling a little bit. And I think they masked any part where he might have struggled by having
Gang vocals.
But they weren't like, let's swing from a vine with our swords or whatever. It seemed like it was all controlled. I thought he sounded really good.
He's probably because of those calisthenics he's doing on stage. He's got one leg out straight and another leg bent, and he's like singing, which, I remember seeing like Bruce Dickinson doing that in the 80s, although it was a little more to the side. Yeah. This was more of a front to back kind of thing. But what do you think, TR?
I like how you're trying to do this on a podcast.
While I'm sitting, I'm like just like this.
In a video, we're the only ones that can see this.
And it is a hideous sight.
Here's another band with a ton of energy, and that the audience just went bananas for. It was really, really great. It was a great performance on their part. You could tell that, I think that they were a little overwhelmed with the audience response. I mean, this was a special show. what was the one of the encore tunes they played
It was Valhalla.
yeah, or something. Yeah, they said that they had never played that in the U.S.
Oh, no.
What was that?
That was the Holy Grail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they never play that in the U.S. So I think they save a lot of little gems for their ProgPower dates, and so that was kind of cool that they broke out that kind of stuff.
Well, the thing about them is that when they play in Europe, they'll play on way bigger stages, and the crowd's just as enthusiastic. So I think you're right, though. I think they were a little overwhelmed by the fact that they had a U.S. crowd that was like this.
And they were playing that Valhalla song, and at the end, the crowd is singing the refrain, perhaps? I don't know what you'd call it, chorus, refrain, whichever part it is. And they just sang it over and over again without anything else going on for like 5 minutes.
At least 5 minutes.
And he's just sitting there going, okay, we're gonna play. We want to play another song, and he got.
They kept it going, and the drummer, he kind of was doing. Some
And then
stuff
he'd
with
stop,
that.
and they're like, okay. And Hansi finally is like, okay, this is how I'll do it. I'll come in with them, and I'll sing, and then I'll hit and I'll hold the last note. So everybody holds the note, and we can stop.
I thought the audience was outstanding tonight. Every song, I thought his engagement was the best of anyone so far. He talked. Sometimes I get annoyed when singers talk every song. When they announce a song, well, this next song is. No, don't tell me, just play it. But it was different with him. He engaged. Right. He talked.
He always tied it in, yes. Like the last song on the on Imaginations from the Other Side is, and the story ends, and he's like, well, I hate to say it, but every the story has to end, and so it was always relevant to whatever.
But after, in between each song, before he even started and it wasn't banter, he really was engaged. Even before you got a chance, it was just Guardian. And it wasn't like a couple guys. I mean, it was the whole place. It was just chanting Guardian. And a couple times he had to back off and just wait, And the guitarists were laughing. They were just like, okay.
One guitarist had a birthday, so everybody sang happy birthday, and they broke out some drinks, and that was kind of cool. That
the whole set was great.
Yeah, it was just a really, really cool. The whole thing, like you say, it was just from beginning to end. Everybody was into it. The energy did not wane one bit, and the audience was really just going bananas for the whole thing. I mean, and this was the first time I remember seeing people crowd surf. During the last couple of days. So you had crowd surfing, you had a little mosh pit.
The pit got big for Valhalla. I mean, about half the floor was a pit for Valhalla. So that was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool.
I mean, I would be pissed if I was a guy down there who didn't want to be involved, but it was cool to see a lot of energy down there at 12 or 10 or 11:45 when it's getting close to the end of the night. So
I have to wonder if this is going to be sustainable over the next 2 days. I mean, yesterday was awesome. Today was more awesome. If it's like this line graph of going up, up, up the next 2 days, although frankly for me, I would think Fate's Warning would have to be on Saturday for that to happen. But I'm sure Devin Townsend could easily
I think both the
could easily take it up a level.
Both the headlines will be special with energy. I don't know about the rest of what's her name, Haken, whatever how you pronounce it. I think they'll probably have a good reception. I bet you any money, whether you like him or not, but I bet the Gentle Storm has an excellent reception because Anneke van Giersbergen is a popular singer amongst all people I know that like rock and metal. That'll be fun to see her. So,
well, she's very charismatic.
Yes, and she's an amazing singer. So,
let's touch on tomorrow briefly, since we may not have time before we get there.
Let's do it.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bands tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'm just going to rattle them off real quick. Ascendia, Vanishing Point, Freedom Call, Gentle Storm, Scar Symmetry, and of course Fate's Warning with John Arch. Now,
Not just John Arch, the whole lineup.
Well,
The whole weekend.
Yeah. I'm not trying to minimize it. I'm
sure.
I'm just tired.
Mr. Zimmerman and Mr. DiBiase might not be happy without that.
I don't care about them. I don't care about John Arch. So I was actually looking forward to seeing Ascendia and Vanishing Point because I felt they were like a couple of young, heavier power metal bands that were going to be interesting to see. But as wiped out as we are and as much as we have to do tomorrow, we might skip them.
I think we play it by ear. I think we go in and we check them out, then you might go back out. I mean, tomorrow is the day you start to do everything.
Right.
The first 2 days is just standard shows. The main festival days are Friday, Saturday, so the vending's open. It's more people are going in and out of the venue and leaving and coming back, and people go for hours and come back. It's much different than these 2 days. Today was a little more open, but it breaks open completely tomorrow.
Yeah, and for me, the last 4 bands of the evening, Freedom Call, Gentle Storm, Scar Symmetry, Fate's Warning, I got to see all of that. Or Freedom Call, maybe not all of it, but I got to at least see some of it because those guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we'll watch it, or somebody will, because we need to have seats so we can have a good view for Fate's Warning.
Do either of you guys like Scar Symmetry?
Yeah, I've listened to one of their albums. I don't know if it's maybe 2 albums ago or 1 album ago. So I thought they were pretty good.
John?
I'm getting my first dose, so.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Cool. It's funny because, excuse me, their latest album was out last year, I believe, or maybe it was the year before. Might have been the year before, because I think we talked about it with Chuck and Godless when they came on with us, and they were all like, Scar Symmetry, and I was like, lame. And then because I was like, it sounds like an old Yngwie album with the way the clean vocals are. Yeah. But then I went back a little later and listened to it again, and I was like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. And it's interesting because they do mix this like 80s Yngwie style, I'll see the light tonight kind of stuff with like, and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. So yeah, I think I've probably already said they're probably going to be the heaviest band unless Devin really whips something out. So should be interesting.
Yeah.
I think we're all about ready for bed. Does anybody have any closing remarks?
Looking forward to it tomorrow. Let's do it.
All right. Let's get to sleep. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah, it's too bad we can't sneak beers in.
Yeah, like Death Fest.
Death Fest, yeah, we were sneaking all kinds of beers in. You would have liked Death Fest. You like Death.
Who was playing?
We'll talk about it in a second. So.
All right, here we are again. It is Friday, day 3 of ProgPower XVII. And before we head over there today, we're going to talk about... so today's the day at ProgPower where they apparently, right before the last band, they play a video showing who's going to be here next year. Is it everybody that's going to be here next year, or just like the headliners?
I believe it will just be Friday and Saturday's events. They'll do the 2 main days, and you will get the headliners, yes.
But like everybody for both days?
Everyone.
All right. So, do you have any predictions for who is going to be up on the screen tonight?
No, and it's silly that we're doing this, but we talked about this. We didn't know who we thought.
Let's do this.
And I said, let's do this. But I'm going to throw one out only because they haven't played in a while. I don't know, when was the last time? Did we see Evergrey a couple years ago, TR?
I don't recall.
I don't know. I said Amorphous. That was I'll stand by that originally, but they're playing in the States in April, so I don't know. But that was my first pick because their somebody banging on the door? That was their album's done pretty well. I have some ones I'd like to see, but in terms of big names...
So, predictions / wish list.
Yeah, okay, so for a wish list, I would love to see a band called Pressure Points, which I think is a nice kind of proggy death, similar to Opeth / Ghost Reveries, period. That would be kind of cool. I would like... And I don't know if Glenn will ever hear this. Glenn, please, Wilderun would be awesome here at the festival on any one of the 4 days.
I second that.
Yes. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Wilderun out there, but if you haven't, you should. I don't know. TR, what do you think? I mean, any ideas? Because who would you want to see, TR?
Well, I'm with you on Amorphous because I would love to see them. What do you think about Catatonia? I mean, they might be around at that time.
I kind of like that. That might be a decent choice to have them come because their new album's getting a lot of talk. So, yeah.
Might be a little old by then.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps. But, they tour for a while on some of these albums. So, and who knows. But Yeah, those would be my key ones. I don't, again, since this is not my milieu, I'm a little bit at a loss for picking, kind of obscure bands, but
Sure you can't opine on it?
I can't opine on this, I'm afraid. But yeah, who knows? I mean, can you imagine Opeth being at this show?
Now I can.
Right. I mean, it would be interesting. I don't know that they would, but
It would never happen.
it probably wouldn't. But that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I should mention we are one stronger today. And we're going to come over here, and he's saying no, so he's going to have to introduce himself now.
Oh, wow. Hello.
What's your name?
What is the name?
Just your first name.
Romy.
Hello, Romy. Welcome to the Metalheads Podcast. You look like you do not want to be talking right now.
It's okay. I just came from Detroit, so this is how we normally look.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I know Detroit. But do you have any predictions, wish list, anything like that?
For next year, not a prediction, but it would be nice to, it'd be kind of cool to see Unisonic, but I don't think they'd come out here. We're more doing the Euro thing. Japan is probably where they're big. But yeah, I'm kind of like with TR. I don't really know a lot of the more obscure prog power bands. I'm, into like a lot of older stuff that, so I haven't really kept up.
All right, fair enough.
I got a power band maybe.
Speak into the bush.
Oh boy. I don't know if I can do that. I'm not a fan of this band per se, but what about Avantasia? Does he finally get them, seeing as they're doing a U.S. date? I mean, is that a possibility?
Seems likely.
And it seems like that's all, what's his name from Ed Guy does now?
Tobias?
Yeah. Maybe that's one of them. I don't know. Who knows? He can't bring Circus Maximus back because they're here again. Pain of Salvation already played. Symphony X just played recently. So maybe it was a bad idea to do this right now. I can't think of any bands all of a sudden.
Well, I guess we'll all be surprised later today.
The dark horse, for me, Timeless Miracle.
Yeah.
They're
There's nothing going on that last Thursday.
So yeah, I don't know what happened there, but the recorder just made this like wee noise and stopped recording, so I had to reboot it. So John was about to say something though.
Yeah, I can't pronounce the band's name, but there's a crazy technical progressive metal, death metal band.
It starts with Neo.
It's like NE and then Obliviscus something or other.
So if you know a name like then that's who it would be, yes. But I've seen their shirts all over the place. I'm wondering if they might not be a good choice to come in.
So now this is good because now whoever is up there, we can go, that's who we meant. That's who we meant.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Geez, I don't know. I guess I wonder because a band like Sabaton's come a couple times, and I wonder if they're ever going to come back again. I'm not a super fan, but I know they're very popular here for the power side.
There's a Michigan band called Eminent Sonic Destruction that might work in this festival. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Yeah. And these bands would never, I don't think they'd ever come, but I did hear Galactic Cowboys is doing another album now with the classic lineup, which is going to be pretty sweet. I don't know if anybody remembers them.
Yeah, dude.
But, Corner would be nice to play here, but I don't think that would work in the... See, this is the genre that I kind of am gravitating to, so I don't think that those bands would fit into what's going on here.
Maryland Death Fest kind of thing.
Well, yeah. But they do, like their last record, Grin was pretty progressive.
It's true.
Oh, I got one for you. How about this with his new album out? How about somebody making a return visit? Isan.
Isan would be
That
good.
would be cool. I'm going to go with that as my hopeful.
Maybe it'll be Emperor. That's where they're going to play.
Yeah. I don't think Emperor's going to be playing at ProgPower. Although
Everybody's heads would explode. They'll be like, first we're going to do Circus Maximus, then we're going to do Emperor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Complete different ends of the spectrum.
I'm going Isan as my super pick for coming next again.
Super pick. I like
Your
Yeah.
Powerball.
My power balls. So.
All right. Anybody else?
Yep. Just looking forward to today.
All right. Well, we will talk to you again after.
Okay.
Bye.
We on?
We are on. It is now 40 minutes into Saturday. We just finished with day 3 of ProgPowerXVII.
Yes.
And it is just getting more and more tiring, and like it's because we're getting, cumulatively less and less sleep and rest and proper food and
more bands.
watering and so
How does this work? You stand at Death Fest in the hot sun. You sit in a nice, semi-cool venue, and when we're tired in the semi-cool sitting down venue.
well, it was just like 12 hours of sitting down, or no, 10 hours of sitting down, but we were there for like 12.
Yeah,
So
it's a long day.
it's a long day, but it was a good day.
Oh, it was a great day.
God, it's so long. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Wow.
Mine said rock and roll was easy. Boys.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. So I hear. So we had a bunch of bands today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
The fact that I missed AC/DC at the Palace today. That's right.
The Cow Palace. Nope, that's in San Francisco. The Palace of Auburn Hills. I've been there. Last time I was there, I saw. No, it was like White Zombie and the Ramones. So it was a long time ago.
Wow. Sounds like a late 90s concert.
Yeah, it had to be. Pre-Rob Zombie. So, anyway. Yeah, so we saw 6 bands today. Ascendia, Vanishing Point, Freedom Call, Gentle Storm, Scar Symmetry, and Fate's Warning. I'm going to guess that there's probably not a whole lot to say about Ascendia or Vanishing Point. Does anybody have anything? Other than, they were all right.
Yeah.
I was entertained. I don't know if I would go out and follow them or anything, but they put on a decent show. I mean, people liked them, seemed like, so.
Yeah, the Vanishing Point singer looked like he was kind of like disgruntled about something. Like he was, I don't know, like he felt like they weren't getting enough attention, or I don't know. But then there was the guitar player guy, the big beefy bald guy with the goatee. That dude, I don't think I've ever seen anybody as happy as that guy in my life. He was smiling the whole freaking time. And not even just smiling, but like grinning like he just won the lottery. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And at one point he tried, a couple times he tried to get the audience to do something. They didn't do anything. And then towards the end of the set, he came out and like flipped his arms up and down trying to get people to do something. And they did it. And he wasn't on the mic or anything, but I saw him mouth, "Thank you." And it was cute. So, then we had Freedom Call, which was, another German power metal band along the lines of, Halloween, Gamma Ray, that sort of thing. That dude was really pretty happy.
Yeah.
He's cracking a lot of jokes, and it's like...
It was entertaining.
It was very campy.
Yeah.
And...
They didn't take themselves seriously, that's for sure, which was great. They... Definitely, you could tell, like... The lead guitar guy, singer, he just seemed very happy, seemed like he was like excited to be there, and just like, they wanted to bring the fun, have a good time. Mm-hmm. It's a heavy metal party. Yeah. So
and it was their first time in the US, and that seems to be a real common trend with this festival.
And I missed most of the show because I came back to the hotel. I had a raging headache.
Most of the Freedom Call show, that is.
Yes, and so I missed it, but I would think that they would have been there at least once or twice touring with somebody at some point. So I did get to see the end, and I did enjoy the restart of they would play the last note of the last song because they wanted the crowd to cheer as if it was the greatest thing ever on planet Earth, and they did. I thought that was kind of cool. I appreciated them having fun with that, so... The little bit I saw, I thought they were entertaining, definitely.
Yeah. And then, holy shit, and then.
Oh, yeah.
Gentle Storm was not so gentle. Personally, I mean, I knew that, she's a great singer and all, and I figured it would be entertaining, but holy hell. That blew my mind. I mean, that, I was like, man, Fate's Warning's going to have to do something pretty special to live up to this set because it just, that's probably going to be the thing I remember the most from this week.
Yeah. that was as much as I love Fate's Warning, I think they're equal for me for different reasons though. Fate's Warning obviously was the nostalgic part, but also seeing something we've never seen. For me, getting to see Anneke van Giersbergen live again, and thinking that she was just going to do the Gentle Storm stuff, and she did her whole career, picked pieces from all different projects and bands, and the energy from them, I thought, was by far the best from everyone combined as one unit. They sounded great, and she was fabulous, I thought.
There were like 6 people on stage, and they were all like moving and dancing and banging their heads, and it was just it's like it was almost like it was choreographed, but it didn't look or feel choreographed. It was just they moved so well, and
it seemed seamless, like they were used to doing it. Let me tell you, she had banged more than most singers did it so far at this. I mean, when they did a couple Gathering songs, I mean, she really laid the wood down when she was headbanging. It was kind of cool to see, because she kind of looked like that during the early years when she was just a kid when she joined them. So
she's got va-va-voom.
Affirmative.
She's pretty darn amazing. Yeah. And so it turned out that the bass player and the backup singer were from Stream of Passion.
Yeah, and then and Romy probably knows a little bit. I think the rest are her own band, right? Or Gentle Storm band?
I would assume so. I don't know enough about Gentle Storm personally, but her solo band, I think so.
I think, yeah, because her husband wasn't playing with them on drums. It was the drummer from the Arian Projects, Ed Warby or whatever, I can't pronounce. So who was good? He was great. So.
And she said that she wanted to keep this band because they're disbanding Gentle Storm, and she wants to keep these people.
Well,
and
she's doing a solo album next, but it's not technically a solo album, I guess, because the whole band will be on the solo album, and she wants to just keep this ball rolling, basically. So I don't know if Gentle Storm was no more or
Stream of Passion is no more.
Stream of Passion is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that it's solo project, Gentle Storm are going to kind of morph, I think, together.
Yeah, because what's his name, Arian's not going to be part of it, presumably.
Yeah, I think that maybe that's what she meant, is that he's not going to probably be part of it. And he doesn't tour, I don't think, anymore. He does very limited live stuff, as far as I know. I was hoping he would have been here, but I think that was like a 0% chance he'd show up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got to say, based on what we saw, I am definitely looking forward to that solo album. What did you think?
Yeah, I was knocked out because I'm not familiar with her or her band, so to me it was kind of a new experience. I mean, John had clued me in a little bit to some of her work, so I'd kind of gotten a taste of it, but I didn't really, as he said, she went through her whole career, so you got to hear a little bit of everything, and so. Amazing vocalist. I was blown away as well, just because she was able to sing that way throughout the entire show, and it was powerful. Just powerful vocals that can lay you out. I mean, it was amazing, and she wasn't forcing it. You know what I mean? It was like that's her natural ability there. And the other woman that she had singing with her,
she was great,
was also really terrific. And together they sang very well, and just the whole band sounded great. And it was at times it was like a wall of sound, and you got just pow. It was everything, and it was a good mix. The sound mix was very good for that band, I thought.
I did too.
Because sometimes it was a little uneven at times for other bands, but like Scar Symmetry, but we'll get to that. Yeah. But this was just really a great performance, and you're right, the energy from every band member was there, and it was plentiful, and the crowd responded. I mean, everybody in that place was into that whole set.
That was the first standing ovation I've seen so far in the 3 days. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I loved how they would be like playing along, and all of a sudden it would just kick into this groove, and they'd all be banging their heads in unison together, and then just back into what they were doing, and then back into the headbanging, and it was amazing.
What was that ballad that she did? The two female vocalists and the one guy that played the guitar. That song was, because it brought it down for a second, but it was kind of like
Valley of the Kings.
Was it Valley of the Kings?
Yeah.
It was just really, it was perfect at that time, because after all that kind of heavy stuff that was going on, to pull it back to this just really light, intricate kind of ballad, which literally an acoustic guitar and two voices, that was kind of medieval sounding. Again, I'm not real familiar with this, but to me that's what it sounded like. And it was that was the gentle part, I guess. So light and delicate, and but not flimsy or weak. It was still strong, and it was a nice little break, and you got this other dimension, which I thought was really, really nice.
Yeah, the two songs that they did Valley of the Queens, actually, according to the set list here, Rome, I'm just saying, and Isis and Osiris, which are both from the Aryan Project, Into the Electric Castle. So you have something to say, Rome?
I got a lot to say. Would you say that it cleansed your musical palate?
Yes, perhaps.
Perhaps?
It was.
Wow.
It was no. It was definitely. It was a nice kind of. It was a nice kind of change from instead of just because most of those bands that we saw, all kind of gave you the same thing through the whole show, and that was kind of a nice difference that we got, that I felt was kind of a welcome change of pace.
Yeah. All right. So then, did you have any more you wanted to say?
Oh no, I'll just make quips every now and again.
Fair enough.
That's all I do.
Well, let me know when you need to quip up. So then, unfortunately for them, Scar Symmetry had to follow that, and while they did a good job, excuse me, I felt like they were having some trouble figuring out what to do with harsh vocals in the mix, because the first
first 2 or 3 songs, it seemed like
there was nothing. I was like, where's the love for the man with the harsh vocals? Come on, For me, that was like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, yeah, some harsh vocals finally. I've been days and days of all these clean vocals, and it was cool to hear that, or almost hear it anyway.
Well, yeah, and
it got better eventually.
It did. Got much better, and you could really hear the guy, and he had what I thought were excellent harsh vocals. I mean, really, and he a little more of the gamut there. Most of it was kind of gravelly, but he had a little bit more than that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I thought, and John and I talked about this. Our favorite musician of that band was the guitar player on the right, the lead guitar player.
Santa Claus?
Yeah, Santa Claus, with the bald Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He had an excellent style, and you could tell that his tone was outstanding, and just really
effortless.
Exactly. He just played with such ease, and it was so clean. Every note was clear, and every note was clean, and not like it was distorted, but what I'm saying is like it was just so cleanly played. Yeah, exactly.
He didn't seem like he fit the band, though. I'm not saying his style just seemed like it could be played elsewhere. I mean,
Yes.
to me,
I feel like he's probably capable of multiple styles, multiple genres, because the guy just seemed at ease with anything he did. Was
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he played the theme from Indiana Jones at one point, which was kind of funny.
So I thought that was funny, but then I noticed, and I only saw about 75% of them, I guess. You guys tell me, did it seem like they were a little disorganized in between songs at times?
I don't know if they were just trying to get something on the computer to, one of the other gripes that we've had during this is, all these keyboard parts that nobody's playing. It's all patched in.
I understand it too, because the bands today, it seemed like, at least with the Gentle Storm, it didn't seem like it was necessary to have someone there for it. Because it was more guitar driven, but it seemed like it was a lot today from everyone.
Yeah. And we were kidding around a lot about there's a keyboard. Where's the guy?
Unacceptable. I volunteered to pretend keyboard up there.
Yeah.
For every band.
You could have done it.
I would have done it.
And you would have done it well.
Yeah. Now, I might have to disagree with you guys about the gentleman you're talking about. To me, even though I only caught 3 Scars Energy songs, I would have to say that the gentleman that stole the show was the chap with the flag-covered sleeveless shirt.
The Swedish man wearing the American flag.
Yeah.
I was like, should I be offended by that? I need to ask Colin, what's his name?
Let's talk about the shirt.
Copernicus or whatever.
Well, I think here, because I got the impression that they probably don't get to the States much, and I'm sure that this was I
just thought they were having fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were trying to honor the States and, just be like, hey, we're with you and, we're having a good time. And
he was having a good time. He was pounding down beers. And
yeah.
Right. And my point is actually I think he overshadowed this guitar player you're talking about.
Oh.
At least from a fashion perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was interesting because, the clean singer was tall and built and handsome, and the harsh singer was kind of short and trollish.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a curious dynamic you have there where, the pretty boy sings the pretty stuff and the not quite as pretty boy does the...
It would be cool if a band had 2 singers, if the pretty boy was doing the hard stuff and the troll-like mountain man was singing the clean stuff. To me, I would be more interested in that. That's just me.
Hey, the clean vocal guy, he was just Mr. Party Boy. He was all bouncing around and having fun and having drinks, and
they were all having fun.
And the other guy was just a little more he could have been into Monomarth,
Yeah.
He looked like he looked like an offspring of a Monomarth or Valiant Thor. Yes. Yes, but he was a good. He was good. I thought his vocals were great.
Well, he's been around. I looked him up, and he's been in Panthymonium and Edge of Sanity. That's the other Svano one, right?
Was he really?
Yeah, I don't know what he did. I didn't look that far, but he's been in a lot of projects.
Cool.
So
yeah, cool.
So he's got the skills, the pedigree. That's what I'm looking for. Yes, thank you.
And we're talking about, I guess, Troll Boy, is that his name? I don't know his name. So what do you guys, that's how you're referring to him. Yeah. So I'm trying to...
Yeah,
it's not... We're not making fun of him at all.
No, he was awesome.
He was. No, he was, and he was so grateful too. Everybody in that band was very grateful to be there, very grateful to the crowd for the response. I mean, the crowd got into it and they enjoyed it. They were mixing it up. There was a mosh pit down there in the middle. Uh-huh.
I was wondering how well they got along, because it always seems like whenever there's a band with 2 singers, one of them always feels like they're not getting their due. But the 2 singers were all arm in arm at the end.
Say that, because I thought about that too, but they did. You could see the body language was there. They get along. Each guy has his own thing, and that's what they do. But even the clean vocal guy did a little bit of the harsh vocals a little bit from time to time.
I thought he did, yeah.
I mean,
he's in another Duoth or something like that, which I want to look that up, because I bet he does harsh vocals in that band.
Yeah, that was cool.
All right, so then...
So the only reason we came...
This is the whole reason I'm here.
Yeah.
The whole reason I was like, I have to go to this.
I have more reasons, but for you guys, I know this was the main reason for coming.
And that was Fate's Warning with John Arch and the original Awaken the Guardian lineup.
Yeah. Which was only together, I think, for one album? Am I correct in that? Because didn't Frank Aresti come in on that album? Yeah. Yes, they were together for only one album.
Yeah. All right. But what an album, right?
What an album.
So, I can tell by looks on all your faces, we were all mightily disappointed. Mightily disappointed that it had to end, that is.
Yeah, I had told you the only thing I wish is John Arch would have just kept the mic a little closer to himself because I missed some of his high notes. His high notes. Yeah. Other than that, I have no issues with that show at all.
Oh yeah, it was great.
It really sounded amazing.
And it hit the spot. I mean, they all sounded great, and it was really cool to see all of them playing, and to get that the whole album was awesome.
I actually was hoping they would have played more, but when they got done, I was like, I think I've had enough. I think there's no need to go any further. Even though I would have loved to have heard a couple more songs off of Spectre Within. So, but hey, take what we can get, right?
Oh yeah. No, that was completely satisfying. I mean, the whole thing was exactly it hit the spot, and we'll probably never ever see that again. And so it was a special show. It felt great. The audience loved it. Everybody was into it, and
looked like they were filming it. So maybe we'll get a DVD of it.
I hope so. And I mean, hopefully we'll get, if nothing else, the audio, because I mean it would just really be cool.
Oh, so I'm looking at the set list, and they actually canceled out a song tonight.
What?
Yeah. Night on Brocken. Yeah.
I thought they played that on Keep It True.
They did, but they actually, it's marked off on the set list
Right.
because they played Kyrie,
Elysian,
which I thought they did. And so I thought that was weird because I was expecting another song off of the first album. So, I don't know.
Apparition, man.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone was into Awaken the Garden, but Apparition seemed to almost kick it into a second gear. Everyone seemed to really get pumped for that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, very cool.
What did you think?
Of Fates?
No, of the pulled pork.
Actually, the pulled pork was pretty good. It did have a bit of heat at the end, but married with the coleslaw, it was a nice cooling.
Okay, now how do you compare it to Fate's Warning?
Well, much like the coleslaw countering the heat of the barbecue sauce, it was a nice balanced act. It was a good show. Part of me is a little bit over the whole album thing from bands, but it is nice to see on occasion. This probably is one of those occasions because this is an album that you wouldn't normally expect to hear. So and they didn't overdo it. I mean, they're only playing a few shows of this, so kind of makes it a bit more special.
Until they announce the world tour next week.
Yeah. Well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Those guys have actual jobs.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about seeing that is now this group in its own or different variations have seen all these different reunions. Because Romy and I saw the Parallels reunion in Connecticut, and then the three of us saw the Arch Matthias, which, it's a different band. Now, it was actually Fates Warning, all right, because it was all Fates Warning's guys in it, but they were doing Arch Matthias music, so, and then we got to see this version, which I thought was cool, so.
I will treasure it always.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anything more on Fates?
No. I'm just getting back. We'll get back to the other band now as the year goes on with their tour. So, if they ever tour the album, the current front, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just move on to that.
Because the new album is
they
phenomenal.
said that they were going to be touring.
Yeah.
I was just waiting for when it's we can see them. So
Yeah.
So the other thing that happened tonight that we sort of skipped over, getting to Fate's Warning, was the announcements for next year.
Oh.
yes.
Now you're all going to have to help me with this one because there's a lot of bands I didn't even know, and one of them that made me laugh out loud with its silly 80s style spelling of Dynasty. I was like, wow, is that like a hair band? Like, God, I can't even remember any of those horribly spelled words from the 80s, but
I'm getting it right now.
I knew Pain, which I thought was funny because ProgPower is going to have the dude from Hypocrisy there. Granted, he does play a very different style of music in Pain. I thought that was pretty cool. And I've heard of Angel Dust. And the Lords of Black, I've heard a few songs.
I'm trying to get the...
Was it Sunburst?
Sunburst I've never heard of.
What was the other?
Here we go. I got it right here. All right, so the Friday is Sunburst, Distorted Harmony. Does that sound right? Lords of Black, Angel Dust, which will be kind of cool because I saw them a long time ago when they played at ProgPower, so that might be interesting. Myrith is coming back, which they're a fan favorite. They went over really well. They're a band from Tunisia, I believe. So that'll be kind of cool. And then an interesting...
They'll get canceled because they won't be able to get into the country.
They've already been in once, so I think they'll get in again.
Excellent.
And then... Well, wait, before we announce the headline, should we talk about the fact that we only got 2 of the bands picked?
Yeah.
Our predictions.
And truth be told, we didn't do this earlier, but at the last minute before this all started, I said to everyone, I bet that Mike Portnoy is going to do some all-star thing because he's here to see Fate's Warning. And lo and behold, the first headline is Mike Portnoy's Shattered Fortress, which is his 12-step program thing that he did when he wrote for Dream Theater. It's 5 songs with 12 parts. That might be interesting, only because of who might come with the band.
Now, I was talking to TR about this. It's, to me anyway, it seemed like sort of a disappointment that would be a headliner, somebody that doesn't even currently have an album out. Now, granted, if it's an all-star thing, if he's got some really big names in there, I guess, okay, but it still seems like it should be maybe like second billing.
Yeah, and maybe because it's Portnoy and Dream Theater, and so the prog
So
side.
just name alone, even though he doesn't have the catalog to back it up.
Well, yeah, it's all going to be it's going to be all Dream Theater music is what it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all songs that were performed with Dream Theater.
Oh, so this isn't new material.
Not the 5 songs that he's going to play. I think it's an out.
Something he's never played live before,
Yeah.
but in its entirety, I should say.
Yeah, its entirety.
He's played bits of it, but this is, I guess, a premiere of the whole. What is it? The 12-step.
12 steps. Yeah, of AA, I guess.
Wait, so it's a bunch of songs about AA?
It's his recovery and his journey recovering.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so he tried to get Dream Theater to play it, and I guess they never wanted to do it, or it didn't work out, or whatever. Who knows?
Well, I guess they didn't
They're a bunch of
dedicate-
bag of dicks.
I'm sure there's 2 sides to the story of Dream Theater. Trust me.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. They never performed it, and so he's getting a chance to perform it. They've done all-star stuff before here. I mean, half of John Oliva stuff is always an all-star band. It seems like so.
That would have been something good to see, or has he been here too recently?
I don't know when the last time he's been there, so it's been a while. John Oliva.
Couple years, right?
Yeah. Oh well, no, last year.
Oh, last year.
He did Streets from Savatage.
Oh, all right.
So Romy's shaking his head because he wanted to see that. So I'll do the second day real quick, and I'm going to butcher some names here. Teramaze, is that it? Is that the name of the band?
I guess.
I don't know them. Dynasty, or whatever you want to call it.
Dynasty.
I know.
It's like a Janet Jackson song.
Here's one that I thought was interesting. Snowy Shaw's going to be there.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to be doing kind of what Annika van Giersbergen did, kind of a career retrospective.
So he's going to play some Dimmu Borgir.
Yeah, they were showing all the bands.
I know. I didn't
King
quite
Diamond.
didn't quite understand. I'm like, you're not going to be singing King Diamond? I mean, come on here. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought he was a bass player.
it'd be interesting. What was the other?
Drummer or something.
Memento Mori was another one, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Got his own stuff too.
Yeah, it's his own material, exactly.
Yeah, I got a promo from the label once, and I was like, nah, that's okay.
Pain was the other band, which I cheered for, and then I looked over Romy and I realized, crap, it's not John Oliva's Pain, it's the band Pain.
I thought you were referring to Pain of Salvation
No.
initially or something.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I wonder how many people thought that's what it was. They were all cheering, and then I was like, wait.
This band, I can't pronounce their name because I'm an idiot, so I'll show you. It's
Where are we here?
right there.
Oh, I'm gonna guess like Amaranthi.
Yeah, I guess.
Now that was the band with three singers: the chick, the growler, and then the clean singer dude. So I mean, if you're talking just two singers having an issue, what about three?
Well, we saw three this weekend.
Yeah.
We already did.
Oh yeah.
Pyramids.
Pyramids. and it worked just.
Yeah, but they're not all currently in the band.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The band we're talking about though that's coming, I think were here a couple of years ago, and everyone loves them. So
Speaking of pyramids, I don't know if anybody else noticed. I pointed it out to TR, but the singer and Viggo Mortensen lookalike guitar player were 3 seats down from us in our row.
oh, were they really? That's awesome.
Feeds.
And then I guess the final headline is Catatonia,
Which you predicted.
which I predicted. So, which I only threw it out because I didn't know what else to say, and I was surprised to see them. So that's the lineup. I'm still going to come because I go every year. This might be a little different year for me in terms of who I see and how I go about it, but I may experiment with some of the bands I don't know.
All right.
I'm hoping Thursday is the linchpin for it. I'm hoping it's a Thursday like this time. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Cool. Why don't we do a quick rundown of what's going on tomorrow? After today, and as tired as I am, I think I've revised my expectations for tomorrow. We have another 6 bands: Savage Messiah, Sirius Black, Green Carnation, Refuge, Haken, and Devin Townsend Project.
Actually, 7. I'll have a 7th band.
Oh, right. Mr. High and Mighty over here, Gold Badger, is also getting
Did you call him a badger?
he's a badger.
Mushroom.
He also gets an acoustic set from Annika.
Yes, at 12. It's a gold badge for the gold badge members of ProgPower and the VIPs.
There should be a gold badger on the badge.
Badger. A snake. We all want to see that tomorrow.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, we're going to get an acoustic show from her tomorrow with the gold badge and VIP people.
Which only John gets to go to because
Yes.
he's special. I'll be sleeping or something or drinking.
Special only for that 1 hour, maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, I originally wanted to see Savage Messiah, but they're opening the show, and that's starting to seem like something that I don't really need to be there for. Especially when the band after that is Sirius Black, which is just serious shite as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if anybody else likes them, but
No interest.
they're right up there with Circus Maximus on my shit list. So, did I just shit on anybody's favorite band? No.
No, we're
Okay.
priming for Green Carnation to start today, I think.
Yeah, that's 5 o'clock. That's a nice, good start time, and then Refuge, which I guess is going to be a bunch of Rage songs.
Yeah, I'll check out a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but I'll check out a little bit, and then
Skip Hagen.
I may watch them a little bit.
mind seeing
They're They're very entertaining.
Maybe not then.
Well, maybe I'll watch them just to have seats for.
Yeah,
downtown.
that's true. That's true.
So.
And then Devon. I like how on every other day. Oh wait, no. Today it said to close, but the first couple of days it was like, 10 to 11:30, and then it's like to close, meaning whenever the hell he wants to stop.
I hope Devin Townsend just pulls no stops and just goes all out tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll check in again after that and tell you how it went.
Excellent.
See ya.
Peace.
Hello, ProgPower 2016 or 17 if you prefer, is in the books now, and what a day it's been. Even though we only watched a couple of bands, really.
Well, we got the majority of the bands for today.
Yeah. Well, we skipped Savage Messiah. As much as I wanted to see them, I wanted to relax and have some food and some beers, and wanted to do that more. Then we showed up.
But before that,
All right,
speaking of
yes,
beer,
let's
it's
make some.
time to cheer.
Cheers to Glenn.
Yes, thank you. Cheers to all you guys coming down with me for this year. This is the best year it's been for me. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for
You
having us.
guys were cool coming down too. I was referring to the bands.
Fuck you guys.
Oh well.
No, yes, I truly do mean that. I had a blast with everybody. I do mean that.
It's been a blast. So anyway, so Savage Messiah, didn't see him. I'm guessing they were probably pretty good. Next up was Sirius Black.
Negative.
Serious suckage as far as I'm concerned. We got there while they were playing, and then strategically waited for them to finish playing before we went in to the seating area.
To take our seats from Wednesday night again.
Yes.
We reclaimed our seats.
The thinking here was between sets, everybody comes out to do whatever, go to the bathroom, get food and drink, buy merch, have a smoke, whatever. And so when they came out, we went in and found 4 seats that were good. That were apparently our same seats from Wednesday.
Yeah, I think they were exact same seats. I think so. As a matter of fact, we were in that section 3 of the 4 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we mention that this is just open seating? I mean, I don't know that we said that
I don't know
explicitly,
that we did either.
but it is, and it's general admission even though there's seating, but you can pretty much pick whatever seat you want and you can sit in it, and that's it. And nobody's seat is their seat, although there are some people that always sit in the same seats, but overall you can sit wherever you like, and that's kind of a nice thing because different people want to see different bands, so they want to be close for one, and then maybe they'll go down in the pit for one, and maybe they'll just not even go for another. So it is kind of nice if you want to pick your own seat to sit in.
On the other hand, it wouldn't drive us quite so crazy trying to save our seats if we had assigned seats.
True.
If it was, these are our seats, get out of our seats, you fucker, then we could all go do something. But we always had to leave 1 or 2 people behind to hold on to the seats.
Only problem with that is that would defeat the purpose of me having a gold badge and getting in early to pick us prime seats. So,
Well, your gold badge could get you the best seats.
maybe. I guess we'd have to test that scenario out. And if it got me good seats, then okay, we can go to assigned seats. But that would be me, though. It wouldn't be you guys.
Well,
I couldn't say,
right.
well, I need 15 seats in the first section. I got a crew coming this year. Yeah.
Well, that would be sort of the point of the gold thing, is that you get preferred seat. Maybe it's like with the airlines or even some of the concert venues now, you can literally go on the screen and tap the seats you want, or even what's the movie theater? The one where they serve food.
Fandango?
No, the movie theater. Can't think of the name of it now. But where they serve food and beer and all that stuff. Anyway, you get to pick your seats ahead of time there.
Special theater.
The special theater. I can't think of the name of it.
Oh,
I was just there.
We have one near us in Merrifield. Same thing. You can buy beers and food and take it in and stuff like that. So I know what you're talking about.
But this one, they actually come to your seat and bring it to you, and you can just order stuff from your seat.
Oh, okay. So I was pondering right there. For anyone that didn't see.
Opining?
Yeah,
maybe?
hold on. Do 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 do. While John ponders, listen to the girl from Ipanema.
All right.
Sorry, drinking beer. So then we went in, we got seated so that we could see the first band that we were actually wanting to see, which was Green Carnation. And they're doing the whole Light of Day, Day of Darkness single, super long track. And I thought they pulled that off pretty well.
Yeah, it was a nice show. I enjoyed it a lot. They sounded great, I thought. The singing was good for a whole hour of one song. And everyone played great. It sounded pretty close to the album, I thought. So
Romy's not here because he's actually talking to the guitar player on the street somewhere. So we just sort of waited a little while and started without him. Maybe he'll show up. What'd you think, TR?
I enjoyed it. I'd only heard that maybe once or twice before, and I thought, well, this is going to be kind of ambitious, but it was very seamless and smooth, and everybody did sound good. There was a good mix, and I enjoyed it.
yeah. One other thing I thought, I don't know if you guys noticed, I thought, oh man, one song, people are going to basically walk out at some point because they're going to get tired of hearing this.
Did you drink all my beer?
Maybe.
My can's empty.
Yeah, you got more then. I thought everyone stayed. The attention span from everyone was very good, and they got an amazing standing ovation from a lot. There weren't a lot of green seats. There were a lot of seats with people in them. Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
And there weren't that many standing ovations this week. I mean, the very first one I saw was Gentle Storm.
Yes.
And then
Fates for sure.
Fate's Warning was the second one.
Yeah.
And then
Did Pure Maze get one?
I don't think they did. I think they got a lot
People
of.
kind of
some
stood
people-
up, but yeah, it wasn't like total the whole place, just like Fates was and like General Storm was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Green Carnation.
then of course,
Madness.
Devin got one too.
The absolute circus.
So then after that, Refuge played, which is he explained is the classic lineup of the band Rage, the 3-piece lineup. And I don't know. Does that mean that like Rage is still around? Sort of like Fates Warning has another version of the band, and so
Yeah, I don't know.
he like did this on the side with these guys, or is Rage broken up, or I don't know.
I don't know enough about him. I just know it was the late 80s to early 90s period, and I had zero expectations, and I walked out of that just fucking loving every minute. It was like, I don't want to call him poor man's Motorhead like I said earlier, but it had that feel of just,
Oh yeah, straight ahead,
In
3
your-
guys
in
just
your
rocking
face.
it out. Yeah, pushing it.
and they were having an absolute blast on stage.
Yeah, and the songs were pretty basic.
Yeah,
you know, but
nothing
it was,
special.
but there was a lot of great energy, and these guys, you know, they looked like they were having fun.
The pit was huge for them, you know. So, which actually, one guy kind of killed that pit. He pretty much took it over and had the whole half of floor to himself because he was whipping his head around like anything and kicking people. So,
Yeah, they were very enjoyable. I also had no expectations, but you know what? I came away like, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. They were entertaining, and yeah, they definitely brought it.
Cool. The next band. We were corrected on the pronunciation. It is not Haken. It is Haken, like bacon. And I refer to them now as Faken because
I like that. I didn't think of that.
I thought they absolutely sucked hard.
And I think I'm not sure, TR, your level of suckage on this. Mine is not maybe as bad as George's, but it's pretty close. I think we were in a strict minority on this one.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like everyone loved them.
The whole place was crazy about them. Yeah.
Which means the whole place was full of idiots. No offense to all you idiots out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't know. I don't understand what took place there because, I mean, I get it. These guys are very technical. You know,
They're outstanding musicians.
yeah, they're great musicians and everything, but at the same time, coming off of Refuge, which was just like and just like in your face, you know, just rocking out, then this kind of thing happens, and it's kind of a little more obtuse, and so, you know, we're kind of sitting there, and I don't know, even though they were doing really complex stuff, I was completely bored by it, and I just was not. I don't know. I just didn't really get it.
Yeah, and I don't want to poo-poo a band. I didn't get it either. I did not enjoy them. And I'll be honest, the person I'm going to poo-poo the most, and I don't want to do this, I absolutely could not stand their singer. Within 2 minutes, I was just ready to just crawl or claw off all my skin on my face. I couldn't stand him. I would listen to James LeBrand, his worst day of the year, for 4 hours straight.
Yeah, I had to get up and leave for a while because it was so bad. I mean,
I don't want to be a bad guy and say that. I don't want to,
Right.
you know, because I know a lot of people like him.
I'll
just
be the bad guy.
Just for me,
You could be the bad guy, but you know,
it wasn't.
Yeah,
it didn't jive.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I actually have their latest album, and I've listened to it, and I thought it was okay. But it just didn't translate to me. It didn't translate to a live kind of a show. And I don't know. You're right. We're in the minority because the whole place loved these guys. They were going bananas for them, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. Maybe I don't know if I'm just too old or I don't know. But I just did not think they were all that. I really didn't.
I didn't think they were anything. They were fucking horrible is what they were. The singer, who, by the way, is the love child of Weird Al Yankovic and Gallagher, with his curly hair and his mustache and his little green tie, who then came out later with his 80s, like, shuttered sunglasses, like he was on Miami Vice or something. Okay, they were the most pretentious band I've ever seen. Musical talent aside, which they don't really have any anyway,
Well, they had musical writing. I think you're saying talent for playing proficiency on your instruments.
I'm gonna not agree with that. They had some, but first of all, as I was telling TR, they should start with 6-string instruments and learn how to play those first, because they weren't playing. They fucked up a lot, and
they did do.
And there were far too many moments where, speaking of going bananas, it sounded like they were a bunch of monkeys banging on instruments, because it was very discordant. And if that's what jazz guys do, they play extremely discordant stuff that doesn't sound like anybody's playing with each other. Great, but beside that, the singer never even had a passing fancy with singing in key. He was entirely sharp the whole time. It was like I can't even attempt to do it. It's like, when you're at the ball game and somebody's trying to sing the Star Spangled Banner and they're just like strangling a cat. He was strangling a cat the whole time. I never heard anything that sounded good out of him, and it was just I had to leave.
Yeah, well, the podcast will probably lose like so many people now because
I don't care if you like Haken, get out. We don't want you.
Well, no, you can like them, just you're not allowed to talk about them
or play them within our vicinity.
Here's the thing I had an issue with. Was it a beard convention? I mean, everyone had.
Yeah, there wasn't one person in that band that didn't have a beard, right?
Yeah, I didn't have a beard. So I was wondering.
I was kind of laughing about that because I knew you'd probably comment on that.
Well, yeah, and in a second we'll get to Devin Townsend because neckbeards came up during his, which is funny because half of his band has neckbeards. Yeah.
Well, and then the dipshit bass player for Haken with his, I've got short hair everywhere except in front, and so I can't see, and I keep flipping it back like it's an annoyance, even though I have it this way on purpose. What a fucking dipshit.
And he talked just like that.
Yeah, what a fucking dipshit.
Wow. Spock's Beard and Circus Maximus just became the greatest bands ever.
Oh, at least they can play.
Yeah, I agree. Whether you liked them or not, they at least had chops and were entertaining and some value. Yeah. What it was.
I was totally bored by this band.
I was. At one point, I think you looked over at me and I dropped my head and you just burst out laughing.
Yeah, because it was just like, oh God, we've got another hour of this.
When is this song going to end? Yeah. So, anyway, I don't even think we should. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Mr. Pretentious Singer, and I say they're pretentious because of all the things that they did that they thought were so cutesy. And the singer, he's like standing up on the drum riser as the keyboard player plucks individual pretty like new age notes, and he's plucking them out of the air like, fuck you, dude. and he's like, slinking around on the stage. I'm like, dude, you took a little too much of whatever it is.
It's okay. What?
Well,
whatever.
Right, that's why I say we came off a Refuge. Yes. Which is just like, like in your face, 3 guys just blasting it out, and then then you get like this kind of pretentious stuff that's like the complete antithesis of that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, how did we get here? What I can't make that kind of a.
Did we do something wrong? Are we being punished for something?
You don't get to be pretentious like that unless you're actually good. Now, if Devin was doing that, I would be like, yeah, okay.
This is the greatest fucking thing ever.
These guys, no.
Hey,
no, I don't think so.
Well, I think we've beat that horse.
But, the gods of music shined upon us and said, well, you have suffered enough. Here is Devin Townsend Project.
But there was still some suffering to do.
And yet, I enjoyed that suffering.
Yeah.
They were having some technical difficulties. And personally, I think Devin Townsend covering for a shit show is almost better than Devin Townsend not even having a shit show and just playing a normal show, because he just recovers so well. He's so damn funny.
Yeah.
And he was primed to go. I mean, the curtain hadn't even opened yet, and there must have been at least for the normal person, not the typical metal. There was at least 5 cringeworthy moments of what he said early on. I was just like, this is going to be a shit show. I mean, in a good way.
Yeah, it's funny because he's like, the curtain's there and he's like, let me out. And, it was great. And referencing parts of his mother's anatomy. And And it's funny because you can't see him; you just hear this disembodied voice saying this ridiculous and
From behind the curtain because they hadn't pulled the curtain back yet.
He has somewhat of a natural operatic voice, or at least when he goes into his Devin Townsend character on stage, which I think obviously he's I think it's part him and part this kind of,
Yes.
I don't want to say psychosis, I think it's just his stage persona.
Right.
He has this somewhat already operatic voice when he talks. He talks with such emphasis, and to hear this coming from behind the curtain, it was almost like, is this the modern day Wizard of Oz? All of a sudden, he's the man behind the curtain.
bitch, take your dog and get out of here.
Yeah.
We're closed today.
And the best song he played all night was the opening song. TR, would you like to comment on what that song was? Because I know you played this song in your band.
Oh, right. So, yeah, he starts just goofing around, and
Let's get this party started or something.
and you know, and perhaps it's because it's a fellow Canadian. He played the first maybe refrain or so of Summer of '69, which was pretty funny because he did it in a goofy voice, and you know, just.
Hail to Bryan Adams.
Yeah, Bryan Adams, for all you metalheads that don't know what that is.
As soon as I said, we are really in store for something we haven't seen in a long. I mean, I've seen him so many times on tour.
And he was singing it in a very, like, gravelly, goofy sort of way. Like, not even like a harsh voice, but just like a, me and the guys from school.
Yeah, it was. We knew we were gonna get something good.
Yeah. And I think out of the four of us, it's safe to say I'm probably the biggest Devin Townsend fan of the four of us overall. I mean, I think I mean you like him, George. I know Romy likes him, and TR, you're not on the fence, but it's just you haven't really gravitated to him that much.
I'm certainly not on the fence anymore.
No. Well, what I meant,
Not after that.
I'll say this: I enjoy his live performances.
Yes.
As long as the mix is good.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that. But the bottom line is, he is immensely entertaining, and you can't go wrong going to one of his shows.
And you can't get offended by what he does.
No,
Because
it's all a joke. I mean, it's all just in fun.
he went after some people during the show, which was my personal favorite moment of the
Yeah.
which we'll get to. But he verbally, I wouldn't say he attacked him, but he called him out. He called him out.
Yeah,
Somebody was leaving the room, and he saw it because they were out going through the door by the side of the stage.
Out of the seats and out down the chute.
And he's waving. He's like, bye, bye.
Yeah, and then he said, well, will this make you happy? And he got in this just bizarre crouch and just started noodle soloing, like, he says, is this making you happy? You gotta stay now. Like, it's just neurotic city. Yeah, that was one of my many favorite moments of the night.
Yeah. And I loved how they would just be like playing something that's very like lush and textured, and he and
Annika.
Annie, as he called her,
Yeah,
were singing something, and then much like Gentle Storm, all of a sudden, wow, they just jump into something heavy as hell. And I love, he's such a tall, lanky, strange-looking guy with the bald head, and when he like gets down into his like,
It's like a gorilla crouch.
he's like, you know, sort of like the Hansi pose, but not quite so calisthenic looking, where he gets forward and he's got his guitar forward, and he's and like all the he like clenches his neck, and
you could just
and all
see,
the
like, his
veins
whole
are popping out,
face
and,
is crunching up.
and he's just like, "Rah!"
There's that weird thing where he hunches over too when he's playing, and he kind of does that big stomp, and he has that funny face, and he's just
He's kind of got that ragey face, you know, where he's like scrunching it up, and he's like,
and his arms are so long.
yeah.
It's like, you know, when he like goes and puts them out, it's like
that's true.
he's got a really wide wingspan there,
lanky.
you know. It's
That was so enjoyable. Minus the fact that I don't think we need to waste time really, but they had a serious amount of mixing problems where we couldn't hear. You could hear almost as if it was stage presence only, as if like it was monitors only. Almost. Yeah, and you couldn't hear them for probably half the show until they had a serious technical issue with the computer on.
Yeah, I don't know if the computer dropped out or whatever, but
and he was making fun of it, talking about, you know, you rely on these computers and then they fuck you.
Yes. So basically, his acoustic guitar was not, the signal wasn't going back, and so basically when he strummed it, you got nothing. So he threw it off the stage, but get rid of this guitar and bring me back my other guitar. And then the acoustic guitar worked, and it seemed like from there the sound wasn't 100%, but it did get better, and it got better, and it still should have been better.
Yeah, and then what he did there was basically, because he's all about the wall of sound and all this backing stuff that fills out the everything, and that what he called it was a campfire song, where he wanted everybody to kind of sing along with him, and Annika was out there, and he was there, and he had his acoustic guitar, and it was super cool because we had kind of they'd been you could just tell that they were kind of struggling with the mix, and it was kind of frustrating, and for the first time you could hear everybody, you could hear the guitar, you could hear him, you could hear her, and it was just a really cool moment because everybody was singing along, and it was just a really it kind of for the moment banished all the kind of feelings of frustration that I was feeling.
I was feeling it too.
Where it was like, oh man, why can't we hear her? Why can't we hear him? I mean, there were times when you could hear him, and then or his guitar. You could hear his guitar, and then you couldn't really hear it. It was just very strange, and I'm not quite sure what was going on there.
I know you thought it might have been the wall sound, but I feel that when he did play the acoustic guitar, you still couldn't hear that well, and there was nobody else out there but him. So that's what made me think it might have been the mix. Who knows?
Damn you, Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, whoever you are, you got some work to do.
Well, apparently her name was Lisa, but Devin called her Lucifer.
Yeah, which was a bummer because I thought Annika was really belting out some songs.
She was, and I think we could hear her purely on her
Voice
own
alone.
Yeah,
Voice
exactly.
alone.
Like I think, there were a couple of times because we were fairly close. I mean, we were maybe, I don't know,
Less than 100 feet.
yeah,
Not that far.
and so there were times when she was singing, and I know that we were hearing her just natural voice
Over everything.
yeah, like just purely without any amplification because she's that powerful.
Yeah, the first song, you couldn't hear either of them, and then you could hear her doing just back up, kind of things, and Devin's sitting there singing. You can't, and all you hear is her, and I'm like, well, as good as it is to hear her, but
Right.
we should probably hear him too.
Yeah.
You knew something was up when she actually got frustrated. And for the whole
Yes.
weekend, she had nothing but smiles the whole weekend and thanking everyone, saying, I love you every 2 seconds. And she got frustrated and walked off stage to change mics.
Yeah.
Or,
And they didn't even have another mic, or
and then-
I don't know. I thought it was very odd that they didn't have another
and
mic
then-
for her.
And then she had to sing on the main mic a couple times, so.
Yeah.
But you know what? They were professionals. I mean,
were.
they worked it through and kept going strong and hard.
Before I forget, I don't know if we have any more about Devin, but you should talk about your super secret show.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So the Gold Badge and VIP people get a special show on Saturday at noon. And today's special show was, and by the way, we pay for it too. It's not a freebie.
Yeah,
and
but
I-
you get the opportunity to go.
And I say that because I think that helps get us the show. And we're all glad we pay. But we got Annika van Giersbergen again, all acoustic, just her and a guitar.
And her boobs.
She made reference to that. Yes, she did. I'm going to keep that a secret for us Gold Badge people. You'll just have to wonder what she said about them. She is a very funny woman. She has natural presence on stage, and there were people crying in the audience. I myself felt a wave of emotion during one song because her voice is so beautiful and yet so painful singing some of the songs, and some of the lyrics are rough on some of the ones she did. And then it became Happy Time. She did a lot of covers. I mean, a lot.
You said you did Jolene.
She closed with Jolene by Dolly Parton. She did a Fleetwood Mac song, which I didn't know. She did Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. She did a Queen song. Trying to think of what else she did. Oh, the song that surprised me, and it surprised you, TR, when I mentioned to you. She pulled out Drowning Man from U2, which is, we're talking ultra deep.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't think this is famous. I'm thinking, no, not famous. I don't think anyone remembers that song at all.
Well,
for those of us
U2 fans would
for
know
those of
that,
us who are
but-
early true
Yeah.
U2. I mean, that's going way back.
And actually, that's a favorite of mine. And
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd seen her do that.
It was, yeah. So
So now, what kind of stuff did she do of her own? Was it like her own solo stuff or other
yeah,
kind of?
she did some gathering songs, and I think she did some of her stuff, but I'd have to go back and look because I was a little iffy on one or two songs. But I'd say half the set were covers. And I know some people were a little, butthurt over it. It's her show, first of all.
Right. This is a bonus.
It's not an actual tour show. It's a bonus that she did. Just as a heads up, folks, she just got off the line with Devin, going through their set or their sound check. She literally left sound check with Devin Townsend, ran upstairs, quickly changed or did something for 5 minutes, and jumped into another hour and some odd minute set. So for all those people out there who are a little butthurt she didn't play enough of her own stuff, get over yourself. Who are you? I mean, just enjoy it for what it is. Yeah. Would I have liked to hear more of her stuff? Of course. But at the same time, her singing Wish You Were Here is fucking badass. And she's playing the guitar. She tried. She admitted that she wasn't great.
Yeah.
But she's more than proficient. Of course, she picked a song that you need to really nail. Meaning he has such a distinct
solo lines and
he has
stuff.
such a distinct style and sound.
Yeah.
And she still pulled it off, so I enjoy it.
She could sing the phone book.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It was only supposed to be an hour, and she was running 15 minutes late because of sound check. And Glenn came out, and he said she's going to play her whole show. Quite frankly, I could care less how long she could play all day if she wants to. I don't care what. She could do whatever she wants. And she had finished her set and walked off stage, and the lights came on, and everybody left. And she came out, and she started saying, "Where are you going? This is a game. I'm supposed to go off stage and you're supposed to call me back." And I was like, "Oh my God, they want me to come back and do another song. How wonderful. You're supposed to call me back." And literally she says, "Where is everybody? Everyone's gone." And literally half the place cleared out. And then she says, "Well, now I feel like an asshole."
Well, if they hadn't put the lights up, probably they wouldn't have done that.
But here it is. Everyone left. And she's saying, joking, self-deprecating about herself. So I was like, this just can't end. I don't want it to end. So it was very fun.
Right on. All right, well, that's ProgPower for this year.
Did you want to do?
Oh, right.
Your top and bottom threes.
Oh,
Yes. So,
shoot.
top 3 bands this week, bottom 3 bands. So 3 is, you basically
I think we got that pretty well.
your number 1 is your number 1, and your number 1 worst is the shittiest. So
Yeah.
okay.
I think we can. Top 3 is no problem. I think almost no problem.
Now, normally on the podcast we do 3, 2, 1.
I say we just
Around.
do the 3.
I just say we just do our we just each do our list and then move on.
Okay.
So why don't we start with TR? What are your? I don't know. You want to do bottom
Let me
3
do-
or?
Let me do the top 3 because that's so much easier for me. Obviously, Fates was huge for me, and I really enjoyed that. That was number 1.
Nice.
And I got to say, Gentle Storm had to be second because that was really a tremendous performance, and I was actually moved by that. I really thought it was really it was an amazing performance. Number 3 for me. This is really hard because there were a lot of great bands at this ProgPower. I've been to a couple of ProgPowers now,
This is the best one by far.
and yeah, this for me, thus far was probably the one with the most bands that I enjoyed, and really, other than I'm gonna, I'll go with my lowest 3 now, which would be Haken because
What was your third one?
well, I didn't. I'm doing it now. I'm mixing it up.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
Other than that, there were really, actually, to be honest, there weren't any really. There weren't other. Okay, so I didn't really care for Spock's Beard a whole lot, but
Is that like
Fair
your number
enough.
2?
yeah, that would probably be like my number 2 bad. So Haken, Spock's Beard, but when you look at all the bands, and there were plenty of bands I didn't know. They were actually, I enjoyed almost all the bands really because they all did a pretty good show, and I felt like there really wasn't anything that I really deplored. Overall, I felt like everybody came and it was like, yeah, this is pretty good. And maybe it's not like I'm gonna go out and buy all their stuff, but I was entertained. They did a good show. They were good musicians. I'm good, So, so maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do 2 and 2, Fates and Gentle Storm, and then on the bottom, Haken and Spock's Beard. Even though I don't think that's representative of Spock's Beard. So I really don't. I mean, it just didn't reach me. But because I really don't. They didn't play badly. I thought like as musicians, they're very good. It didn't reach me musically.
So not a hate show. Just you didn't get it. You didn't,
Right. It just wasn't like my favorite, or I just didn't care for it. But so it's like I thought they, from the standpoint of, did they play well? Yes. Did they was it a good mix? Yes. Was everything really pretty decent? Yeah. But did it reach me? No. I just didn't.
Fair.
Yeah.
Because my 2 of my 3 are that way too.
Yeah.
I didn't hate them. I just didn't do the other thing. Am I doing mine now?
Yes, you are.
All right, I'll do my bottom 3 first, because I like to give the worst and go to the best. So going 3 to 1, I'm gonna go Dragon Force first, or as my number 3. I wasn't into them, and I didn't like them already, so I was like, Didn't hate them at all. Didn't dislike them. Just they did nothing for me. I'm sure power metal fans are sharpening up their dragons. My they got to do what they got to do.
Your dragon sharpening out.
Thanks to you laughing, I forgot my number.
Number 2.
My number 2.
Let me sharpen up my dragon.
Fuck. All right. I'm now forgetting my my number 2. So my number 2 and number 1 are going to be combined. Number 2 is Haken, and my number 1 was Haken.
Oh, and I've got a number 3 for the best. Pyramaze was really top notch. That was really a great show.
That was cool.
And I don't want to forget that, because Fates, boom, Gentle Storm, wow, and then Pyramaze. I knew nothing about them, and they just had an incredible show with each of the singers, and I was amazed by each one of them, and the band was really good with each one. So I don't want to leave that out.
Okay.
I do have a number 2 for that. It was Circus Maximus. I couldn't remember. I did not dislike them. I just don't like the last two albums. So it just.
Yeah, they were your Spock's Beard.
They were, yeah. It didn't hate them at all, actually, and they were enjoyable to watch in terms of their performance. Just I didn't like the music. All right, so my top 3. I'm gonna put Devin Townsend at 3, only because I'm a fanatic for him, and I thought the show got better as it went along, and it was a circus. My number 2 is gonna surprise you guys. It's Fate's Warning. As much as I loved their set and I wanted to see Awaken the Guardian, it could not top Gentle Storm for me. And I'm throwing in the acoustic show with that.
Mm-hmm.
It just could not top it for me, because she's my favorite singer, male or female, and the energy from them, I didn't expect them to put out what they did. And it seemed like everything went well. They had no issues, and the sound was great. So they're my number 1, Gentle Storm. So basically, Annika van Giersbergen was my whole weekend.
Wow. So, if Buke and Jay were here right now, they would have a fucking cow, because John's list and my list is exactly the same in every way.
And we did not talk about this.
We did not.
Would they be sharpening their dragons?
Yes, my third hated is Dragon Force, my second is Circus Maximus, and my number 1 hated band is Haken. Hating on Haken.
Haken bacon. Hazen's a bacon.
And then my top 3 that I loved. Number 3 was Devin. Number 2, surprisingly, was Fate's Warning. Number 1, Gentle Storm. That blew me away like nothing did all week. I could not believe that.
You know why I think? Because I think we knew we were getting with Fate's Warning. We knew we were getting Awaken the Guardian. We just didn't know how it was going to translate.
Exactly. It was awesome and incredible for what it was, and it's something that I never thought I was going to see. However, it was a known thing, and Gentle Storm just came in and just stole everything with something that had no idea that could happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as soon as she started dropping Gathering and Aryan songs, I was like, oh, this is gonna just crush me. And it did. Yeah. So.
All right. Any last remarks?
Awesome time with you guys. Really, I truly mean that. And I had a fabulous time at the festival. And I watched more bands this year than I ever have of any festival. Next year, maybe not so much. Maybe next year, if it's just me or whoever, I'll force myself to watch bands to enjoy the festival for what it is. And I'm ready to go home, but I'm looking forward to next year already. So,
right on.
And I just want to thank you guys for including me today and all the other days on the podcast. This has been a lot of fun.
It was great meeting you.
It's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure meeting the cougar bush. And I'm stroking the cougar bush right now. And so I've been listening now for a while. As a friend of John's, when he clued me into the podcast, I've been checking out various episodes and enjoying the all that the podcast has to offer.
The camaraderie,
the beer-fueled calamity, if you will. And so it's really a pleasure to take part in that and to meet you, George, and to have the fun we had this week.
It was a blast.
So thanks very much. I appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. All right. Well, I'm going to close this segment with a question. Where's Romy? Hello. When last we met, we wondered, where is Romy? Well, we found out where Romy was. Where was Romy?
He was actually back at the hotel the whole time as we were. We just had a little miscommunication, and we missed him, and he didn't know where we were, and we just didn't link up either direction, so we missed him for our post-mortem from the festival. So sorry, Romy. It's we wish we were there with us to help finish things up. So yeah.
Currently, John and I are on Route 81 heading north, heading home. And we made another stop at the beer store. John actually made a comment earlier. What was it? How did it go?
I just can't stop buying beer bottles. And you kept saying, step away from the beer. And I said, I can't help myself.
No, and then when we were putting the stuff in, I think you said something like, there's more beer in here than luggage.
Yeah, there's more beer in the car than luggage, which actually is true. Oh, boy. So that should be fun unloading the car when I get home.
Yes. Yeah, so the festival's over. We're headed home. It feels like there should be a Jackson Browne song about this.
Okay.
But what was that called? The Loadout? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I don't know. I figured we should just say something about enclosure.
Well, I do have something to say in closure. We have Romy's top 2. I can't remember his top 3.
Oh, that's right.
But I'll do it real quick. His 2 was Fate's Warning, and his number 1 band for the weekend was, and we predicted this, Green Carnation. So maybe the third one was the Gentle Storm. I can't remember. So sorry for not remembering Romy, but I got at least her top 2.
Excellent. And no bottoms.
No, well, I figured, what's the point of that, because you didn't see as many bands, so I don't know if he'd be able to come up with a bottom or not. So
that's true.
No point in asking.
Alrighty. So yeah, I mean, it was a great week. It went by really fast. Got very little sleep, and it was so nonstop. It's so different than Death Fest, which was a lot more relaxed and you watch a band, you don't watch a band, you wander around. There's just not as much room to wander around there because of unless somebody's actually physically playing on the stage, the merch and food areas are really packed. So it's kind of like, well, you don't want to go wandering around then.
I think also this year we wanted to see most of the bands, even because we wanted to save our seats for the headliners. So we had good seats all 4 nights, I think.
Yeah.
And in past years, I watch maybe half the bands, and people are like, why don't you watch every band? Because I don't want to. But I want to walk around and look at merch. And while merch is not as much as it used to be in terms of quantity, I still walk around the area. But it was just packed because they had a lot of food vendors this time compared to previous years. But, when there's fewer bands to watch, I leave the hotel and I go somewhere. I find a bar, or I get something to eat.
Some tacos.
Yeah, we missed out on the tacos this year. But, I go down to Vortex, which is always a fun place to go to. This year we went to World of Beer. I met you guys down there after I saw the Annika van Giersberg and Acoustic Gold Badge VIP show. There's other places, I'm usually back and forth. I go back to the hotel and crash for a little bit and come back. It's different because Death Fest is constant, but you can kind of walk out to the parking lot and hang out. Whereas in ProgPower, you have to do a little walking to get somewhere. So yeah, you're right. If you're stuck at the venue, it's a long day because you don't really go very far.
Yeah, it was like 8 to 10 hours of hardly going anywhere. Just sort of like your seat, the bathroom, your seat, maybe the food vendor, your seat.
Yeah, because we actually cared about keeping our seats. When you don't care about keeping your seats, then it's fine. People are wandering in back and forth and grabbing, poaching seats that open up all the time. We actually had, our line of sight was great and our distance was super. Even though the pictures look far away, we were really close all 4 nights.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, well, I guess that's pretty much the end then. I can't think of anything else to say, so we'll see you with a new episode in a couple of weeks. So hopefully this can hold you over until then. All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.